Health consultant Ann Machado is suing her former friend, community worker Denise Faulkner, for an unpaid loan to leave her husband. Denise is countersuing, claiming Ann vandalized her husband's truck.
That's just case number 62 on the calendar in the matter of Machado versus Faulkner. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Machado, you and the defendant were friends, according to what I've read in the complaint, and you claim a series of loans to her while she was separated from her husband. Ms. Faulkner said that while she acknowledges that you gave her money while she was separated from her husband in the process of getting a divorce at that time, she said that they were gifts. There was never any expectation of the money being returned. In addition, she is counterclaiming because she says that during the separation, while she was separated, you vandalized a truck that was jointly owned by the defendant and her husband. So that's her counterclaim. How long do you know each other?
Probably about 20 years.
When did she separate from her husband?
June of last year.
And when was the first loan, and for what?
I told her years before I'd recognized that there was something wrong in the relationship and asked Denise verbally, did Mike
I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I'm nervous.
Don't be nervous. I only eat litigants on Thursday, and today is not a Thursday, I don't think. Go ahead.
I had met Mike, and I witnessed his behavior, and it wasn't appropriate, the way he talked to his wife or his children. And I asked Denise, on the side, did he ever hurt her or abuse her? And she denied it at the time, no. But my intuition said that she was not being honest. In the years after that, I witnessed him being verbally abusive to his children. I told Mike, face to face, I said, if you're not careful, your children are going to learn to be afraid of you. And he looked at me dead in the eye and said, I like that. And
what kind of verbal abuse would he
very
inflict on his
very
children? In front of you?
Oh, yes.
In front of you? Like what?
He treated his family like dogs. I mean, I talk to my dog better than he talks to his family. He shows no respect. He doesn't feel any duties to take care of the house. He's pulling in 2 jobs. And he felt that his only responsibility was to drive them to and from school, which he lives for control.
So that bothered you, but evidently for a long time she lived with it.
I couldn't do anything about it until she came to me in June last year, and I was just ecstatic that she was going to claim her life back and save herself and the kids from him.
What did she say when she came to you in June of last year?
She was under the protection of a women's haven at the time and said that Mike was being served with the divorce papers and being escorted out of the home. Soon after that, we found out that Mike had cleaned out the bank account. She had nothing to her name, so I gave her $500 just to get her going. And then her bills started bouncing. Her water, her garbage, her electricity, her house was in foreclosure. Everything was falling apart. And Mike kept calling and threatening her that she better not lose that damn house.
When was the first loan?
First loan was the attorney.
Tell me about that.
She didn't have an attorney representing her. And her kids do BMX riding, and the grandparents participate in most of that because they drive them out of state and all over everywhere. Anyway, he did all that, and she didn't want to take that privilege away, but said, that, yes, I'll give them, the grandparents, custody just to do that BMX training.
His parents. Go ahead.
And in the process of getting that, she realized after the custody, after she got the paperwork back from the first judgment, that she sat at my kitchen table and just cried. She said the light bulb finally came on that she gave 50% of her custody rights away to the grandparents, and she just was devastated she, as her mother, or their mother, would do that.
Okay. Tell me about the attorney and the loan.
Okay, before I got the attorney, I told Denise we needed to get somebody representing us. I can't afford to just front the money. But you need to fight. You've got the nerve to leave him now. The time is the essence. She didn't have the money. I'd loaned her the money, and it was supposed to be paid back through the sale of her house.
So the house was going to be sold?
Yes.
Eventually?
Eventually. As soon as we got the house in foreclosure, it was 3 months behind. The paperwork was already in. I stopped it from going into foreclosure, but before I did any of that, I told Denise, I said, you can't afford to keep it. If I pay it off and it's bank-owned, that money's lost. You have to sell the house.
How much did you give her for the attorney?
$2,000.
And how much did you give her in order to prevent the house from going into foreclosure?
$3,133.
Did she give you $2,000 for the attorney? I'm just asking the amount of money that exchanged.
I don't know what the amount was. She's the one that always dealt with the attorney.
Okay. And did she make up the payments on the house in the amount of $3,133.
Not that I'm aware of.
Can I see proof of payments, please, both to the attorney and... Shh! You say you don't know. I have to see proof.
These are the canceled. Right? These are the canceled checks for the attorney.
What about the bank money for the house?
Since it was through, I called and paid it on my Visa.
Okay.
And this is how it came out. I didn't give him check numbers, but yet it still comes out as check numbers on my bank statement.
Okay. There came a time, according to your complaint, that you found out that Miss Faulkner had reconciled with her husband. When was that?
It was the end of January. Denise wouldn't even get on the phone with me. She was afraid that the house was bugged or that Mike was listening somehow, and that she would be reprimanded for it.
When did you have the first discussion with her about reimbursing you for this money?
We didn't. I got a hold of her finally on the phone by April 1st at her work, and she couldn't talk. She said she'd meet with me the next day at 11 o'clock, and she never showed up, and I couldn't get a hold of her after that.
What is that on?
This I bought for Denise to get Mike's true person on tape, his verbal abuse, and I gave this to her for protection so that we'd have something to follow through with our attorney. You know, something to back up this true person, because he puts on a good cover. But
all right, Miss Faulkner, when did you separate from your husband?
July of 2003.
Why?
We were having some problems. I was working 2 jobs, and he was laid off at that time, so we were having financial problems.
Well, people who have financial problems usually don't separate. Did you at any time go to the plaintiff and tell her that you were under the protection of any organization that assists people who are the victims of domestic violence?
No, I was never.
Were you ever?
No.
Did you ever go to the courts to seek an order of protection?
No.
Really? No police ever came?
Yes.
I want you to listen to my words very carefully, madam.
Okay.
And before you say no, 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 whatever dealings you have with the courts are very easy for me to ascertain. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, I do.
Very easy. It's a phone call. It was my business for 25 years. So when I ask you a question, you'll give me a truthful answer.
Okay.
And in this proceeding, I don't give a rat's behind about what your relationship is with your husband. Do we understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And Machado says former friend Denise Faulkner owes for a loan to leave her husband, Mike. Ann claims Mike was abusing Denise and their kids.
Now, did you ever seek the protection of the courts in separating from your husband?
Yes, I did.
And did you tell the courts when you sought that protection that your husband had been abusive to you?
Yes.
And how long have you and your husband been married?
19 years in July.
And how long did you maintain that order of protection in place?
It was good for 30 days, I believe.
Did you extend it beyond the 30 days?
No, I did not.
Why not?
Because we...
No, don't look over there. Don't look over there. Don't look up here. Look here.
Because we were working things out. He obtained an attorney, and I didn't need any protection. He was staying away, and we were fine.
You were working things out in order to get a divorce. He had retained an attorney. At that time, did you have an attorney?
No, ma'am.
You didn't have an attorney because you couldn't afford an attorney.
Yes.
Let's be very careful what you say to me. I'm not looking at him yet. I'll get to him in a minute.
Okay.
Good. Now, did there come a time when you went to the plaintiff's home after you consented to either a temporary or a final custody order which gave away 50% or a substantial part of the custody of your children to their grandparents? The answer is yes or no.
Yes.
And did you, in fact, have a court proceeding where you consented to the grandparents having a substantial portion of time with the children?
I believe so. I didn't understand the paperwork. That's why she was helping me.
Good. So you didn't understand what was going on?
Yes.
That in court?
Yes.
And your husband at that time, put your papers down, and your husband at that time had an attorney? And you did not?
No, ma'am.
So you were grateful when the plaintiff volunteered to, let us say, give you money for an attorney.
I was overwhelmed.
You were overwhelmed.
That she wanted to help me out like that.
Well, you were desperate. Would you say desperate is a better word?
Yes.
Yes. Then there came a time, I assume, that you fell behind in mortgage payments. Is that right?
Yes.
And at that time, in July, August, and September, I want you to listen to my question very carefully, because we're not talking about 10 years ago. We're talking about less than a year ago. July, August, and September. How much money was your husband giving you to support your 4 children?
None.
Not you. You were working.
Oh,
Now,
in September, he started making payments to me because he finally got a job.
well, what was he doing in July and August?
I don't know. We didn't have contact.
He was eating.
He was living with his parents.
What kind of work does he do?
He's a diesel mechanic.
So he can work at anything. He's a healthy man, can work construction, can drive a taxi.
Yes,
he can
ma'am.
pick up cans in the street. He could do something to earn money, right? When you have 4 children, that's what you do. You don't sit in your parents' house and watch TV for 3 months without giving your children money to live on, right?
Correct.
But he did. Nothing. She helped you, right?
Yes, she obtained a lawyer for me.
She helped
Yes,
you
she did.
survive
Yes, she did.
when your husband was sitting
But I
on his
was
fat
working 2
behind
jobs.
doing nothing.
I was working
You were
2
working
jobs.
2
I was-
jobs. You
I was
were working.
doing
Listen to me.
fine.
You
I was
were
making
listen,
mortgage payments.
Listen to me. You were working 2 jobs to support yourself and your 4 children, and you still, according to you, fell behind in your mortgage payments. According to you, and you still didn't have money for an attorney. Your husband, on his fat behind, was sitting at his parents' house. He had money for an attorney. He retained an attorney. He didn't give you money, but he had money to give a lawyer, and he allowed the house to fall behind in its mortgage payments. So far, did I wrap that up in a ball pretty right?
That's correct.
No, didn't.
Say nothing. I got you. I've gotten you for 25 years. I've never met you before, sir, but I got you. The husband who couldn't afford to give you a dime in June, July, and August found the money to retain a lawyer, right?
Correct.
And the only one who helped you at that time is your friend.
Yes.
Is that
ma'am.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is not related to you by blood, right?
No.
Do you have a family?
I'm married. I've been married for 10 years. I have 2 kids, 5 and 9.
Right. Do you live on a trust fund?
No.
Do you work?
I'm a stay-at-home mom right now until my
So-
daughter goes to school.
So the money that you gave her was really family money, money that was earned by your husband outside the home.
And money
Right.
we've saved for years.
And money you've saved. You got it, Miss Faulkner?
Yes, I do.
You know where your friends are?
Yes, I do, ma'am.
Okay, good. Is your husband working now?
Yes, he is.
When did you reconcile with him?
January 26th of 2004.
Now, I'd like to know the discussion that you had with your husband about repaying the plaintiff for the $3,133 that she laid out to bring your mortgage payments and your other utilities current. What discussion, if any, did you have with your husband?
We didn't discuss it because it was a gift.
No. No, listen to me. You never had that discussion
No,
with
we
Prince
didn't.
Charming?
No.
No. Is that because you're afraid of him?
No, ma'am.
Really? Mm-hmm. Good. Because I tell you something, I'm not afraid of him. I eat him up for breakfast.
Okay.
You're never supposed to live with a person that you're afraid of, Ms. Faulkner. Do you understand what I'm
I
saying?
understand completely.
If you live with somebody that you're afraid of with cause, then you're a fool. And you're a bad mother. Because if you live with somebody who's a bully and intimidating, that's what your children see. I don't live in your house, but I assume that you're not a nut.
No, I am not. I'm very balanced.
Well, if you're very
I'm a
balanced, and
great
finally, after 19 years, you decided that you had had enough and sought the protection of the court and said that your husband was abusive and you needed an order of protection, I assume you weren't lying. So all I'm telling you is nobody is supposed to live with somebody that is abusive or frightening.
Yes.
We understand each other?
Yes.
You owe her the money. Now, you want to tell me about this vandalizing of the family truck. You want to get into that with me?
My husband would.
Oh, I'd love to hear from him.
Okay.
Vandalizing the truck. Let me hear. When?
Approximately in October.
October, approximately October.
Yes,
October
ma'am.
has 31 days.
I don't have the police report on that part on me. I have the
You don't have
pictures.
what?
I have evidence proving of situations that were coming up before the actual damage to the truck happened.
I don't. Listen to me.
Okay.
Give me a date that your truck was vandalized and what proof that you have, non-hearsay proof that the plaintiff had any dealings with your truck.
Well, ma'am, how about that?
How about giving me the date that your truck was vandalized?
October 19th.
October 19th.
Yes, ma'am.
2003.
Yes, ma'am.
Where was your truck vandalized on October 19th?
It was parked in the front of my father and them's house, ma'am.
It was parked in front of?
My father and them's house.
Oh. What time had it been parked there?
Overnight, ma'am. I get off work and I'm home about 12:30 at night.
And what kind of damage was done to the truck?
I have pictures here, ma'am.
I'd like to take a look at them.
There's also events leading up to that, ma'am.
Listen to me very, very carefully, sir.
Okay.
This is my space.
Yes, ma'am.
You will answer my questions.
Yes, ma'am.
In a very tight, controlled way.
Okay.
Somebody threw acid on your truck.
Yes,
some
ma'am.
sort of acid on your truck.
Yes, ma'am.
And I see damaged it severely.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. October 19th, 2003.
Okay.
First, let's have the police report.
I don't have that. Like I said, I left that at home. And that can be gotten if it needs to be called for. Yes,
Is there
ma'am.
something wrong with you? Where did you think you were coming today, sir? If you have a police report from October 19th, when you reported this to the police and you left it at home, that's the only thing that I'm going to see. That's an official document. Other than that, do you have a witness who saw her vandalizing your truck?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Good.
Please
That's all I have to hear, sir. Do you have a witness who saw her vandalizing your truck? Do you have a confession that she made to the police of her vandalizing your truck?
No, ma'am.
Your counterclaim's dismissed. Sit down.
Ma'am, okay. Do you have anything that shows as far as her abuse to her, though?
Did you hear what I said?
Yes, ma'am, I sure did. But
Good,
did you
then I
see
want
this
you
right
to
here?
close your mouth.
Okay, without
You
proof,
owe her
you don't want this.
$5,000. Judgment for the plaintiff. Your counterclaim is dismissed. That's all. No good deed goes unpunished, madam.
Parties are excused.
He threatened to kill her a couple times. We've got police reports stating it, neighbors that witnessed it for years, and everybody is afraid of Mike.
She wanted to be with my wife. Her whole thing was she wanted the house to go to foreclosure so she could buy it.
He's nuts. He is whacked. It's all control. He'll make up whatever he has to back up his story.
How controlling and interfering she is. She's the one that wanted me to leave my husband.
I don't like him for not being nice to Denise and his kids. He's a rotten human being.
I'm more submissive, and she's been controlling all our lives.
I just wish the best for my girlfriend. I hope she does get the nerve up again to leave and claim her life and give her kids the future that they should have.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Donahue versus Heinig, step forward, please.
21-year-old fitness consultant Megan Donahue is suing her ex-boyfriend, 24-year-old construction worker Brian Heinig, and his mother, Ann, for the return of a bedroom set and entertainment system.
Miss Donahue, this used to be your boyfriend, is that right?
Yes.
You have a child with him?
Yes, I do.
How old is that child?
9 months.
Boy or girl?
Boy.
And for a period of time, you lived in Mr. Heinig's home with his mother.
Yes.
And it is your claim that there was some sort of an altercation. You left, and Mr. Heinig refuses to give you back 2 items of furniture that you purchased that belonged to you. Mr. Heinig says that the bed he paid for and that the home theater was given to him. He doesn't say by whom. When did you move out?
April 9th.
And you moved out with your son?
Yes, I did.
Where did you move to?
My house, my parents' house.
When did you go back for your furniture?
April 9th is the last time I've ever been at their house.
When did you tell them you wanted the bed and the home entertainment center?
April 9th.
Okay. Now, what?
Well, I was there. My son was not there when she came back with her sister, and she did want the bed. She made no mention of an entertainment center. She was very emphatic about the bed.
How old is your son?
My son?
I'm 24, ma'am.
He's 24. Is he your youngest?
No.
Let him talk for himself. Let's deal with the entertainment center first, Mr. Heinig.
Mm-hmm.
Who bought it?
We had both bought it.
Who paid for it?
We had both paid for it.
How much did you pay for it?
I'd say $180 at least.
Yeah, I have receipts for everything I paid for and an itemized list of everything that I wanted back. And he did pay, when I was on maternity leave, he did pay part of the bed.
Okay.
And I did pay him back, and there's a council check in here proving that,
May I see
I
that,
paid him back. Yeah, that's all for the bed and everything.
Why did she give you a check in March of 2004 for $600?
I've never received a check for $600 in March. We weren't even talking together in March.
Yes, we were. I didn't move out till April 9th.
I never received a check for
Would you show him this, please?
$600. Oh, this is for the side work I was doing for her dad at the gym when I was rebuilding the gym.
Okay, so that's for work that you did for her father.
Yeah, when they own a gym.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
there should be another check somewhere for $350 that they had also paid me.
No.
Okay. Now, you say you paid her about $180, sir?
Well, that was for the TV.
How much was the television?
Maybe $240, I don't know, something around there. It was like a 27-inch TV.
Okay.
It wasn't bad.
And how much did you pay her towards the bed, which was...
I got $650 towards the bed.
Let us say that everything that you say is true, Mr. Heinig, that you did pay for some part of both the entertainment center as well as the bed. That doesn't mean that you get to keep both.
Understandable.
So how do you want to deal with it?
You know, I don't feel that, you know, I mean, like I said...
No, I don't know because you're not saying anything. You're just
well, I mean,
comforting.
I don't know, I understand how she justifies that she asked for the entertainment center when the only thing she's ever wanted was the bed.
She's just... Women change their mind.
I'll give her the money for the bed, you know, but I mean, I think that that's the only thing I should give her the money for.
And the television, the entertainment
I'll give her
center?
I'll give her the television. She could have it.
Oh, great. So the entertainment center is to be returned to her within 5 days from
Sure.
today's date. You keep the bed, sir. You're going to pay her $750 for the bed. That's all. Judgment for the plaintiff, $750 and the entertainment center within 5 days. Thank you.
His mother can't cut the umbilical cord from her son, and every time I try to solve something with him, she gets involved again.
All I'm interfering with is the fact that I want to see my grandson, which she is denying of me.
When we were trying to work things out, she'd call him about a dozen times when he'd be at my house. Where are you? You need to tell me where you're at all times. Like, she's crazy.
She always takes the blame off of her and puts it on everybody else, and I can accept that.
Actually, he tried to choke me with this purse.
I don't know. Kicking me in the back of the car when our baby's in the car is a little crazy.
You know, he hasn't paid me any child support, even called to see how his son is in the last 2 months, so.
I can't deal with crazy people.
Chiropractor Dr. Richard Perry is suing nursing assistant Felissa Carlton for the cost to fix his Jeep Cherokee and for pain and suffering due to a car accident. Felissa says the accident was Richard's fault.
Oh, well. Yeah, this is case number 333 on the calendar, the matter of Perry versus Carlton. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir.
Mr. Perry, Miss Carlton, according to you, caused an accident.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Caused an accident causing damage to your car and injury to you.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Miss Carlton says that there was a merge, you wouldn't let her in, and once she got in, you accelerated. So the accident was your fault. You really weren't injured at all. You just behaved very badly. So you want to tell me first when this happened?
This occurred on July 26th of 2004, Your Honor.
That's your diagram. I'd like you to show me your car.
My car would be back here, Your Honor.
The red.
The defendant would be the blue car here.
So she was merging in behind a truck and in front of you.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Tell me what happened.
Well, we were proceeding westbound on Main Street, and this lane where you see the defendant is actually not a lane. It is a lane that has been merged into a right turn lane. What happened was she came from about 4 cars back. She decided to come up.
4 cars back, so she was behind
the
purple car.
She was actually in the left-hand lane about 4 cars back.
And how do you know that?
I saw her in my right rear view mirror.
So she came out of that lane, the same lane that you were in?
That's correct, Your Honor. Came down this center lane, which is blocked off because of construction, ran over this cone here, actually, behind this truck. We were moving at approximately 15 to 20 miles an hour. She then cut in very sharply behind the truck right in front of me, which was only about 5 feet distance. At that point in time, I had no options. I didn't have any reaction time. I ran over her rear end, which caused my right front end to go up over her rear end, causing my car to tilt to the left and then bounce back down.
What kind of car were you driving?
I'm driving a Jeep Cherokee, Your Honor.
And Miss Carlton?
Miss Carlton was driving a little Echo, Toyota Echo.
So your car actually went up on top of hers?
It actually went up on her wheel and came back down, Your Honor.
The whole back of the car?
No,
or
on her left rear quarter panel, where her tire is. It actually went up over it. There were scuff marks on her left rear quarter panel from my tire.
So the side?
Yes.
Of her car?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
At that point, I was thrown over to the side. When the car came back, I jammed my head on the door jamb. At that point, I honked and started honking vigorously. She stuck her hand out the window and waved at me and took off.
Where did she take off?
She took off into this left-hand lane, which proceeded left. At that point, there's an overpass at that point that goes over the freeway. On the other side of the overpass, there's a baker's restaurant. In that restaurant, she finally pulled into the restaurant. I pulled in, blocked her from turning out towards the left to get back on another street. And at that point, she stopped, exited her car, very profoundly said, "What are you doing?" I signaled, "What the are you doing?" And at that point, I asked her for her driver's license, her registration, and proof of insurance. She said, "I'm not giving you anything." At that point, she took a young child, it appeared to be a young male, out of the back seat of the car.
Is that what she said? "I'm not giving you anything"?
"I'm not giving you anything." And she took this young male, which had not been seat belted in. There was no car seat in that car. She
How
took
old
him
was
into
the child?
About 4 or 5 years old, Your Honor.
Okay.
She took him into the restaurant, was in there for about 10 minutes. In the meantime, I'm calling the police, reporting what was going on. She comes back out of the restaurant with food and the child. About 10 minutes later, a gentleman shows up, identifies himself as her husband, and proceeds to start cussing at me and yelling at me, and tells me that he's going to kick my and take care of me. And at that point in time, I walked away from them, again calling the police, telling them that this had escalated into an adversary situation and I needed help. We waited for about another 10 to 15 minutes. He talked with the defendant got in her car, and they drove away.
And you got there?
The only thing I was able to get was the license plate off of her car.
So that's how you tracked it down?
I attempted to track it through the DMV, who, through multiple things, they decide you can't do that. They would notify her to notify me, which she had already decided not to give me that information.
Now, according to your complaint, sir, you were injured. I'd like you to tell me how you were injured.
I was having a lot of neck pain. I was having severe headaches. I went to see doctor, recognized that this was a whiplash injury.
Listen to me. What kind of work do you do, sir?
I'm a chiropractor, Your Honor.
Okay. Who's Dr.?
Doctor is a chiropractor.
A colleague of yours?
Yes.
Okay. How many days were you out of work, sir, after the 26th?
I was not out of work, Your Honor.
Good. How much damage did you have done to your car?
About $100 worth of damage.
Do you have
I have the estimates of the damages to my car, Your Honor.
Okay.
Exhibit 3.
Okay. May I see it, please?
Exhibit 3.
Exhibit 3. So this whole thing was $62.31. That was the damage to your car?
The end caps on my bumper and the stabilizer, Your Honor, yes.
Is there anything else other than Exhibit 3?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. You work 5 days a week, sir?
I work 6 days a week, Your Honor.
Okay. And you didn't miss any work?
I didn't miss any work, but I did
Good.
work in pain.
I'm sure your doctor friend was able to help you.
Yes. Yes, very definitely.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Mr. Richard Perry claims he was injured due to a car accident caused by Felissa Carlton. Felissa says Richard is a hothead.
All right, Miss Carlton, I want you to tell me what happened, madam.
I proceeded to merge onto the left lane, and I looked over my shoulder. There was plenty of room, so I decided to keep going, and as I was proceeding, I heard an acceleration, and then I felt a slight bump. It didn't seem bad, so that's why I was like, because I was trying to say, it's okay, don't worry about it. but he honked and he was raging, and so I didn't pull over right away until I got into Baker's, because there was no way I could pull over. We were going over the pass. So when I pulled over, I'm sorry, but he's the one who asked, what the F do you think you're doing? I tried to talk to him. I tried to calm him down. I said, my kids are in the car. And he says, I don't give an F. Who's in the car with you? And I couldn't calm him down. I couldn't talk to him. I couldn't give him any information.
Did he ask you for your license, registration, and insurance?
No, ma'am.
He did not?
No.
That would be odd.
I couldn't talk to him.
No. Ms. Carlton, I don't believe that.
I'm sorry.
I don't believe that. All right, sir. You want to step up?
Mm-hmm.
Your wife called you and said she had been in an accident?
Yes, Your Honor.
Were those her exact words?
Well, what happened when she called me, she told me that she was just in an accident, and while she's talking to me, I heard the plaintiff cussing in the background, yelling at my wife, and I tried to get her, explain to me what happened, and she's trying to tell him to calm down and so she could talk to me. And she said he's acting like a child. He won't exchange information. And I have the kids with me, so I left work and I went to see what was going on.
So why didn't you give him a license, registration, and insurance?
I asked him. I said, "Well, is there anything you'd like to tell me that you were telling my wife?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "You're an idiot." Well, at that point, I told him in not so many nice.
Why didn't you just give him your license, registration, and insurance?
Because my wife had told me she had already tried that, and he was not cooperating.
Well, why didn't you try it, sir?
Well, at that point, I was there to take care of my wife, who was being attacked by an angry man.
He wasn't attacking her when you got there, was he?
He was on the phone when I heard him.
He was not attacking her when you got there, was he?
That's right. No, he was not.
And she had already been in the restaurant with your son.
Right.
Is that right? Gotten food, right?
Yes.
And when you went into the restaurant and you got the food, did you ask the owner of the restaurant if you could use the phone to call the police?
No.
And if somebody is attacking you, if somebody is acting like a lunatic, you do that, right? You call the police, you say, somebody is out there, I'm afraid, right?
Right. And I did.
And you didn't. You got hamburger and fries.
No, I didn't.
Now, you came outside before your husband arrived, correct?
Right.
Right. So if you're really afraid of somebody, if they're behaving like a lunatic, you stay inside the restaurant until either the police arrived, who you didn't call, or your husband arrives. That's just common sense. So I don't believe that you were frightened.
Okay.
I also think, Mr. Perry, that you overreacted. I don't think you make a big deal about something if you have a fender bender. You had a fender bender that cost you $62.31, not $5,000.
The medical expenses are what cost the most. There's about $4,000 in medical expenses, Your Honor.
As far as I'm concerned, Dr. Perry, if you are in so much pain that you have $4,000 worth of medical expenses, you miss 1 day of work.
Unfortunately,
1 day,
unfortunately,
Dr. Perry,
Your Honor,
you know where I'm going
my patients
with you?
don't quite get to that point.
Listen, Dr. Perry, it's not a question of your patients not getting to that point. If you have $4,000 worth of medical expenses, you can't work, at least for 1 day. So I think that your medical expenses and your pain and suffering are a little bit of who shot John. But you are entitled to the amount of money to have your car fixed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $62.31. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I wasn't debilitated to the fact that I could not work.
If he's injured, he's injured.
It was debilitation to the fact that I was suffering pain.
I can't stay. I don't have his body.
I think he got what he deserved.
She's Judge Judy. She did her job.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Fisk versus Billy. Step forward, please.
18-year-old cashier Francis Fisk is suing his former friend, construction worker Diane Billy, for injuries his pit bull received while in Diane's care. Diane is countersuing for unpaid dog-sitting fees.
According to what I read, you have a dog. What kind of a dog is it?
She's a pit bull mix.
And for some reason, you were moving, whatever, you couldn't take the dog with you, so you asked the defendant if she would be willing to take care of your dog for a while.
Yes, there was agreement set up between her and my girlfriend's father, and she's a friend of his. And,
yes.
He asked her if she'd keep the dog. She said, yeah, it's not a problem. She lives out in the country as long as we supplied her food.
The agreement was not with you, it was with your girlfriend's father.
That's right.
Okay. And how long was she supposed to mind the dog for?
We didn't really have a set time. It was just until we found a new place to live.
So anywhere from a day to 10 years?
Basically. Just until we found a spot to live.
According to your complaint, when you got the dog back, someone had severely beaten the dog.
Yes, that's right.
And had severe head trauma. You want Miss Billy to take care of the vet bills.
Yes.
That's what the case is about. And Miss Billy says she doesn't know what happened to the dog. She certainly didn't beat the dog. And you owe her for food and for boarding the dog. So that's your counterclaim.
Yes.
When did she take possession of your dog?
It was towards the end of August.
How old is this dog?
13 months.
How long had you had her?
Like 10 months.
From the time she was a puppy?
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you go to visit regularly?
Yeah, at least 3 or 4 times a week.
And did you bring the food as you promised you would?
Yes.
All the time?
We left a bag over there so she could feed the dog when we weren't there. But every time we went over there, my dog's food bowl was empty, her water bowl was dry.
If that happened every time, Mr. Fisk, why didn't you remove the dog from her care?
Because I had no place else to take her.
Why didn't you allow her to be adopted by somebody else?
Nobody wants a pit bull.
Well, you wanted a pit bull.
That's right.
I had another case not long ago with people who had a pit bull. So evidently a lot of people had a pit bull. That's not a smart thing to do.
It was hard. I mean, it was...
What efforts did you make to try to find somebody else to take the dog?
Everything I could. I talked to my mother, her friends, everybody I knew, and I couldn't find a place.
Did you put an ad in the paper?
No.
For a 10-month-old pit bull?
No.
Friendly?
No, I didn't put any ads in the paper.
When did you find the dog injured?
I got a call on October 15th at about 10:30 saying, your dog is sick, I don't know what's wrong with her, you need to come get her. I couldn't go, I had to go to work, so I got in contact with my girlfriend at school. She came home, her and her stepmother went and got the dog and took her to the vet.
When did you see the dog?
When I picked her up from the vet's office after I got off work.
Step up. Tell me your name.
Justine Price.
Ms. Price, would you describe the dog when you went there?
Well, she was usually kept in a kennel, and she was in their breezeway inside of a cardboard box. She was bleeding really bad from her mouth, and when I tried to, move her lips to see what was wrong, I don't know, it was like a seizure. She started turning her head around real bad, so we took her to the vet.
You have a report from the vet?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
You just want all the evidence?
No, I want the report from the vet. The dog had a broken jaw as a result of trauma. They wired her jaw. How did this happen to his dog?
I don't know.
Who lives in your house?
I have roommates that live there. Matt was there.
Who's Matt? How is he related to you?
He's not. He's a good friend of mine. I work with him.
Was Matt at home when this happened?
We don't know what happened. The dog was loose for 2 days, and I called to let them know that the dog was loose for 2 days. And
when was the dog loose?
It
was
2
days?
2 days before the Friday that I fed the dog. They came back that Thursday. She got loose on Wednesday, and she was gone for 2 days.
And then she came back?
And she came back. I tied her up. It was dark out. I tied her up. I didn't think that anything was wrong with her. She didn't act, And then the next morning when I went to go feed her, that's when her head was sideways, and she looked sick, so I called Frankie to let him know that their dog was sick and they'd take it to the vet. And he said he had to go to work. They never.
You know what happened to the dog?
I have no idea.
What?
He's the one that's accused of hitting my dog. But I couldn't do anything about it because I couldn't prove it.
Well, what makes you think he hit your dog?
Because the person that spoke to her and spoke to us told us the whole story. I mean, I wasn't there. I can't say that's what happened. But I heard the same story from 2 people that both associate with Diane. They both go over there and party and get drunk and whatnot. They both associate with her. And they both told me that he's the one that hit my dog.
Oh, somebody hit your dog. What do you do for a living?
Work construction, concrete.
How old are you?
18.
Did you have a party over there on October 14th?
Yeah.
It wasn't. Yeah is not an answer. Yes is an answer.
Yes, ma'am.
How many people were at the party?
Just a couple people. It was.
A couple is 2.
All right, like 5 or 6.
Now, I want you to list the 5 or 6 people that were at the house. I want you to make sure you list them all right.
Sean, Becca, Dusty, me, Diane, and Marky.
And what was the drink of choice that evening?
Bud Light.
Anything other than Bud Light?
No, ma'am.
Where was Miss Bealey?
Oh, she was there. I'm sorry.
Were you playing any games that evening, sir?
No, ma'am.
Where was the dog?
Outside.
Tied up?
Yeah, it should have been.
Is the dog making noise?
It barks.
How many times did the dog bark?
I don't know.
Did you go out to see?
Dogs bark. They were both barking.
So between the time you had this party on the 14th and the 15th, something happened to the dog. What do you think that was?
I have no idea.
I don't either. All right, let's take care of this. You are responsible for the vet bills, madam. When you assume a responsibility, even if you assume a gratuitous responsibility, you have an obligation to see to it that no harm happens to this dog. We understand each other? And if you've got 5 or 6 teenagers, either chronologically or mentally, drinking beer in your house, and something happens to this dog, that's your fault. Now, these are prospective vet bills. It may work, the jaw wiring may work, and it may not work.
When I spoke to my vet, she's had some problems breathing. And when I spoke to him, he said there's more than like a 90% chance she's going to have the major surgery.
Probably. Well, in any event, this dog has suffered substantially. Your claim is for $1,000, which, as far as I'm concerned, is most reasonable considering the vet bills that you had and the prospective vet bills. And I'm giving you these vet bills because I believe that they're responsible for what happened to your dog. Either they or some of the other drunken people that were at her house on the 14th of October. But I have pets. I love them. And if I left them someplace and went over to see them and there was no food and no water, that may happen once. But you said you never saw food and water in the bowl.
It was hard.
Then you don't tell me it was hard. It's your fault. Better off to take a dog to the Humane Society and let them look for another home for the dog rather than to let the dog stay there and be without food and water so that it runs away and to have its head used as a golf ball. You're not supposed to be an idiot even though you're 18. We understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He was messing around, throwing a golf ball up in the air, hitting it with a bat.
I have no idea what happened to the dog. I mean,
dog jumped to get the ball. He hit the dog instead.
everybody says I did it. Whatever.
And then they tried to lie to me.
I don't know what happened to the dog, but when I found out that the dog looked sick and that I did call him.
I'm not sure. I didn't get a call till the next morning.
It was fine the night before. The next morning when I got up to feed her, she didn't look right.
I think they should have called us and let us know what actually happened and not made up stupid stories about it.
Her head was just twisted and she just wasn't the same dog.
One, that the dog was loose for 2 days and they had no idea where she was.
A little bit of blood coming out of her mouth.
Another one that just she went out there in the morning and the dog was like, I heard several stories.
Should have come over and checked on the dog every day.
I should have got my dog out of there, but I didn't have any other options.
Yeah, I do feel bad, but, I mean, what can I do?
I think she made the right decision, and I greatly appreciate it.
It's all done.
22-year-old warehouse worker Kevin Naughton is suing his ex-girlfriend, 24-year-old assembly line printer Glory Jackson, for stabbing him in the arm. Glory says Kevin was attacking her.
Order. All rise. And this is number 312 on the calendar in the matter of Norton versus Jackson. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated and have a seat.
Mr. Norton, there was a time when you and Miss Jackson had a relationship. Is that right?
Yes.
According to your complaint, you had an argument. And during the course of that argument, Miss Jackson stabbed you with a knife.
Yes, ma'am.
There's no question that you were cut, you received stitches. You want her to pay for that assault.
Yes.
Miss Jackson says she was defending herself because you were in the process of assaulting her and you actually ran into the knife, which she had picked up for protection because you were hitting her. When did this assault take place, sir?
On the 19th of July.
Now, Miss Jackson has a counterclaim. Miss Jackson says that because of you assaulting her and her defending herself, she was arrested, and she had to pay attorneys, and she had other costs. So she is counterclaiming for not only the costs of her defending herself, but also for the assault that she alleges you committed against her. Correct?
Yes.
Now, 19th of July, 2004?
Yes.
You were at her house. What were you doing at her house, Mr. Norton?
Well, she had called me on my cell phone, and she had just had a baby, and she had told me that the baby was mine. But the whole time when she was pregnant, she said she was pregnant by some Marine dude in California.
A submarine dude?
Yeah, some Marine guy. She brags about him all the time, like he's the best person in the world. So anyway, I come over to see the baby. I'm like, I thought you said it was his. And she just had it, because before she had a baby, like a couple years ago, she had a baby, she said it was mine. And I took a blood test, it wasn't even mine. So she was doing it again, so I'm like, it's not mine. I went to go look at the baby, and I said it didn't look like me. So she gets mad, she tells me to get out of her house, excuse my language.
So as I'm leaving, I'm going out the door. I turn around, she's coming at me with a knife. I put up my arm, and she stabs me in the arm. She stabbed me so hard, the knife broke. And I ran outside, and the ambulance had came and picked me up out the street. I was laying in the middle of the street.
All right, Ms. Jackson, you want to tell me your version of the events?
On the morning of July 19th, Mr. Nodden was over at my house.
How did he get there?
He called me and told me that he couldn't get into his mother's house and asked me if he could spend the night. I don't even know Mr. Nodden's telephone number at that time. Okay, so I said, sure. He came over that night. He spent the night. That morning, I was on the phone with my sister, and okay, so then I took the baby in there to lay him down. Then he said, quit making all the noise. I'm tired. I'm tired. I said, I know why you tired. You don't have no job no more. And then he jumps up, and he's like, don't be telling them bees my business. Came in my face. I'm in the bathroom. I'm about to get in the bathtub. Then he pushed me, and I proceeded towards him to, move him. But he's punching me as I'm walking towards him. So I'm running out.
Where is it? Just a second. Where is he punching you?
He's punching me all here. He didn't ever hit me in my face. He just punched me in my body, my upper top of my body.
Now, were you dressed or undressed as you were going to take a bath?
No, I still had on my pajamas, a nightgown.
Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, so then I took off running I just ran to the first place. I ran to the kitchen. There was a knife on the counter. He still hit me in the back as I'm running. I grabbed the knife, and I'm doing it like this, saying, Kevin could just get out my house and tell him to get out my house. And he wouldn't leave, and he came towards me, and that's when he got cut. I never swung the knife to cut him. I just held the knife out so he could leave. I could not run out the house because my children were in the house, in their room sleep. And that's how it happened. Then he took off running out the door. And I did call the police, but his phone call got through before mine, or I don't know what happened. But
just a second. He ran out the door. He was cut.
I didn't know he was cut. Okay.
He ran out the door. He was cut.
Mm-hmm.
Who called the ambulance?
The police must have called the ambulance.
Oh, okay. Now, when did you call the police?
I called the police as soon as I shut the door and locked the door. I called them.
Okay. Did you call the police on your house phone?
No, I called off my cell phone.
Where was your cell phone?
It was on the couch.
You're her sister.
Yes, yes.
You sure you want to do this?
Yes.
I'd think twice about it. But if you're sure you want to do this, I'm ready for you.
Okay.
Step up here. Button your shirt.
It's oh.
It isn't buttoned. Did you go to a preliminary hearing when your sister was arrested?
No.
Did you ever tell a detective that you were on the phone with your sister during this altercation?
Yes.
That was a lie.
No,
no, that was a lie.
How was it a lie?
That was a lie. And I'm going to tell you how I know that was a lie.
How?
Because you just told me 2 seconds ago that you were going into the bathroom in your pajamas. You were still in your pajamas drawing a bath. I'm speaking, and he came into the bathroom, and you started to tussle with him, and you pushed him away from you.
I didn't push him away from me.
Yes, he started.
It's in the letter statement that he wrote. He wrote me a letter.
Listen to me very carefully, madam.
Mm-hmm.
You said you pushed him away from you.
No, I ran. After he pushed me, I was running towards him.
And then you ran outside, and you got a knife. And you held up the knife. And then he got cut. And then you went back to the couch to pick up a phone, which is where you told me the cell phone was, where you called the police. However, in your answer that I read very carefully, you say, the DA eventually dismissed the charges because my sister had stayed on the other end of the phone while this incident occurred.
Mm-hmm.
No, she didn't. No, she didn't.
It's in this letter. He even admitted to her. Then he knows I was on the phone. I was on the phone the whole time. He wrote me a letter stating
You mean to tell me that the phone was in the bathroom?
I was on the phone.
In the bathroom getting ready to take a bath?
On the bathroom. I ran my bath when I was
Just a second. How did the phone then get on the couch?
Because I threw it down as I was running.
Let me see the letter.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Kevin Naughton claims ex-girlfriend Glory Jackson stabbed him in the arm. Kevin says Glory freaked out when he denied being the father of her child.
This doesn't say you were on the phone with your sister.
He said, I did not know you were on the phone with your sister.
And telling her your business. This doesn't say you were on the phone with your sister during the course of the incident.
That's what he's talking about in the letter.
Listen to me. That's not what it says. What else do you want to say?
I guess that's it.
No, not you. You.
I was on the telephone with her when I heard his voice, and I was asking her who that was. And she told me his name, and I said, who? She said, it's the guy that his relative lives next door to my mom. Yes. And I said, oh, okay, because I had met him before.
Yes.
And then, but he was cursing and yelling and everything in the back, and I was asking her why. Then the phone dropped, and it went dead. So I was on the telephone with her.
You didn't hear anything of this incident, is that right?
No, I heard him cursing at her, calling her the B word, slut, and all those type of things. Yes, I did.
Go ahead.
All right, I was going to say that she stabbed me so hard the knife broke. So it wasn't like I just ran into it. She came like this.
Did you go to the doctor after this assault? Not you. I know you did. Did you go to the doctor after this assault?
No, I was arrested.
Well, when you're arrested, they take photographs of you if you have bruises on your body.
Bruises don't usually show up till a few hours later. I didn't have any bruises.
You mean he was punching you and hitting you and you didn't have any marks?
No.
Mm-hmm. You have a police report, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
You want to see my medical bills, too?
Yeah. You have any police report you want me to read?
I have a police report from a previous incident that we had.
I'm not interested in that.
Okay.
You have a previous incident with him, madam, and you don't invite him over to your house to stay over.
I didn't invite him. He called me and asked me if he could stay there till the morning.
Huh. Did you tell him that you thought this baby was his?
No, I did not. His auntie told him that she thought that my baby was his. We were not even messing around at that time. He wanted it to be his very badly, as stated in the letter, so we can be a family, work it out. Oh. Yeah, that's what you said. You know you did.
What do you want to say, sir?
Man, I ain't never told her that. She named her last baby. She named after me, and it wasn't even mine. And this one, she's supposed to be with some Marine dude.
I told you it wasn't yours, though. So what are you talking about?
I gotta keep the players straight, folks. Gotta keep the players straight. All right, you had medical bills of $817. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. Your counterclaim, madam, for false arrest is dismissed. I believe that your sister's full of baloney. I don't think that your sister heard anything that involved an assault, heard anything involving punching, hitting, or whatever. She may have heard him curse at you. She may have. I mean, I read what happened on that day. According to him, he told a totally consistent story what happened that he told today, and he told that at the point where he was bleeding from his arm. He hardly had enough opportunity to make up a good story. You, on the other hand, did. Your counterclaim is dismissed. That's all.
Why is our excuse? You may step out.
She was cool at first until I said it wasn't mine, and she flipped the script.
I told him that the baby wasn't his. It was a question, but I told him that it wasn't.
I'm through with it.
He always wanted to be over there and just be with me. I don't know. I just had a baby, so, you know, we weren't finna have no sex.
I can show you my cell phone. She called me last night and at the airport.
When he got his little money now, maybe he can go get him something with his broke self.
She probably called me right after this.
All parties in the matter of Denton versus Clevenger, step forward, please.
Computer analyst Julia Denton is suing her sister-in-law, student Patricia Clevenger, for the cost of a '96 Toyota RAV4. Julia says Patricia's husband totaled the vehicle.
Mrs. Denton, is this your brother?
Yes.
And this is your sister-in-law?
Yes.
According to your complaint, several years ago, your husband passed away.
Yes.
You say it was in 2001.
That's correct.
When he passed away, one of the things he had was an automobile that was in his name. You had a car, and you agreed to, at that time, let your brother and your sister-in-law use that car.
Correct.
Until the estate was settled, and with the understanding that when it was settled, you would sell them the car. Was that your agreement?
Well, we actually didn't make that agreement. When I loaned them the car to begin with, we didn't make that agreement. It took a long time for the estate to be settled. It wasn't settled until the end of May of 2004. As it got closer to that date, then we started talking about selling them the car. That was my intention, to either sell it to another party or sell it to them if they were still interested in buying it.
Once the estate was settled?
Right, because I was not able to sell any of the assets. He did not have a will, and I was the administrator of his estate. Right.
Okay. Now, you gave them the car to use from 2002, according to your complaint, until 2004. Now, my question to you is, in whose name was the car titled in 2004?
The title was in my late husband's name until after the accident.
Okay. Now, according to you, you insured the car up until May or June of 2004.
Correct.
And then sometime in May or June, you found out that you had started to insure the car.
I did insure the car. After,
when?
In May, after her mother told me that she was no longer carrying insurance on the car.
Okay, so you started to carry insurance
Yes.
on the car, even though you had no insurable interest in the car.
At that point, we felt like the car had been given to us. We had already tried to return the car several times. She said she had no use for the car.
Excuse me, Your Honor, that's a
Just a
lie.
minute, I'll get there. And at some point, about a month or so later, your husband had an accident with the car and it was totaled.
Yes.
And you got a check for how much?
$4,687.
Which you feel rightfully belongs to you.
Correct.
And you feel none of that belongs to her because it was your insurance policy.
Correct.
What do you think?
She gave us the car.
Stand up.
She gave us the car 3 years ago. We offered to give it back to her several times. She didn't want the car back. She had 2 cars and 1 driver.
Yes.
She had a Corvette.
Well, what did you say? I'm just curious. What did you say when you offered to give her the car back?
I said, here's the RAV back. You know, you can have it back. She said, no, keep it. Drive it. That's exactly her words.
Okay.
Keep it.
Now, why did you bring it over there?
Well, actually, I brought it over there to make sure that I wasn't encroaching upon her, to make sure that it was a gift, and if she wanted it back, she could have it back.
So you brought it back to her to see if you were encroaching?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Denton. When did you have the first conversation with regard to the estate settling and some papers that would necessarily have to be exchanged?
I found out that they had started to insure the car on June 17th. Up until that time, I carried full coverage insurance on the car.
You have any proof of
Yes,
that?
I do.
I'd like to see it, please. Put your hand down. Now, this car was a 1996 Toyota?
Yes.
It was insured until the 17th of June, 2004, not May. It's insured until 17 June, 2004.
Okay.
Full coverage. So you are mistaken that the car was not insured after May. So whoever gave you the information was mistaken.
That would be their mother.
Well, I don't know who it was, but certainly you didn't verify that with her, right?
No, I did not.
Right.
What had happened was, Your Honor, because I had been paying the insurance the whole time, I would give the little cards to my mother, because she lives in the same town they do, to go and give to them, and I had given her the wrong card. And she looked at the date and told them that there must not be insurance on the car because it's expired. They got insurance without my knowledge.
I don't see how they could get insurance. They had no insurable interest in the car.
It was a gift.
You had no insurable interest in the car. That's a matter of law. The car is not in your name. It would be like you deciding that you like the look of Bird's car and saying, I'm going to take out insurance on his car just in case he has an accident. And if he has an accident, I can collect on his car. You have to have an insurable interest in the car. The car was not in your name. And it's not something that is worth family feuding over. Sir, you have to use common sense. If she gave you the car, then the common sense would be, I cannot transfer the title to you in this car until the estate is settled, and that may take several years. But I'm giving you the car. But while I may give you the car, I'm not going to give you the car and pay for your insurance too, because that would be stupid. Put your hand down, troublemaker. Do you understand, sir? I'm ignoring your wife because she is not related to this lady, and you are.
Yes, ma'am.
So she doesn't care if she makes trouble, this one, but you should care if she makes trouble. If your sister was giving you the car as a gift, I would say to my brother, David, I want you to have this car. We can't do the paperwork on it right now. All you have to do is you take care of the maintenance, you take care of the insurance, you take care of all the expenses on the car, and at the appropriate time, I'll just transfer the title over to you. I would not say to him, I'm going to pay for all the expenses, including the insurance on the car.
She didn't pay for all the expenses.
The insurance! No, she's supposed to pay the expenses. I mean, something wrong with you? You look like a perfectly healthy man. Do you work? Are you employed?
Yes, I am.
Then why should she pay for the expenses? You're driving. Listen to me. Listen what you did with your wife. You had the full use of a car for 2.5 years. You had it fixed when it needed to be fixed. You put gas and oil in the car. You did whatever you had to do. Somebody else paid for the insurance. Then, at the 11th hour, because your wife got some misinformation, you insured the car. You had not paid for the car. And you came into a windfall of almost $5,000 for something that wasn't yours. Listen to me, sir. Under your theory, if you had had the car in April, which you did, of 2004, and if you had had an accident and she was paying for the insurance at the time, who would have gotten the insurance money? I'm not asking, put your hand down.
She obviously would have gotten it.
Right. She would have gotten the money. Would you have sued her?
Her insurance would also pay for
Ma'am, I wouldn't sue a family member.
Right, because you would have done the right thing. And the right thing is, you don't come away with a windfall of almost $5,000, which is outrageous. Outrageous.
We did have medical expenses after the wreck.
Whose fault is that? Hers?
No, but her insurance would have paid it if she was carrying insurance.
Whose fault is that? Hers? If you had medical insurance, sir, nobody would have had to pay medical insurance for you. You would have had taken care of it with your medical coverage. And if you're a working person, I assume your wife is working. She looks like she's an able-bodied person. You should have medical insurance.
She's a full-time student.
She's too old to be a full-time student if she has other responsibilities.
I am a full-time student.
Okay. You owe $4,687. Judgment for the plaintiff. No good deed goes unpunished, madam.
Thank you very much.
Why does that excuse may step out?
The last 4 months have been a strain, not just financially, but through the family and everything else.
The closeness of my family and the warmth and feeling of a brother and sister relationship.
She's being vindictive.
It was my car. I paid everything on it. They were borrowing the car.
She's being vindictive about a car she gave us.
It doesn't have anything to do with me being vindictive or anything else. I just wanted what was mine to be mine.
I think this whole thing was ridiculous.
The whole thing is upsetting to me.
If she would have just been a little bit more compromising, we would have never been here.
There's nothing else I could do. I'd already loaned them $3,500.
It's usually whatever makes Julie happy when she gets what she wants.
My sister did us a favor 3 years ago, and then 3 years later says, you owe me this.
My husband worked very hard for that vehicle and for everything that we had, and it's not theirs.
I don't have a sister anymore.
I agree with him. I don't have a brother anymore.
Student Barbara Evans Cunningham is suing her ex-husband, store manager Bruce Evans, for his share of a Honda Accord purchased for their son. Bruce claims he never promised to pay for the vehicle.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 292 on the calendar, the matter of Evans Cunningham versus Evans. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Cunningham, Mr. Evans was your husband.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
you have one child?
Yes, ma'am.
A boy who is in high school now?
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim that a couple of years ago, the two of you agreed that if your son got straight A's or good grades, that when he was a senior in high school, the two of you would chip in to buy a car.
Yes, ma'am.
You purchased a car for your son, and the defendant did not contribute half the money for the car.
That is correct, ma'am.
Unfortunately, the car that you purchased for your son blew an engine within a relatively short period of time, and you were forced to go out and buy another car for him.
Yes, ma'am.
You're not asking Mr. Evans to pay for that second car, but you want him to pay his half of the first car, which no longer exists. Is that right? That's what you're suing for?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Evans says that you didn't consult him about the car, and he's not paying.
That's correct.
Okay. So, how long have you been divorced?
We've been divorced, ma'am, almost 10 to 11 years. I've known Mr. Evans since I was 16 years old.
Okay. Now, when did you purchase this car for your son? The first one?
The first car, ma'am, was 19 July of this year for my neighbor.
What kind of car was it?
It was a 1990 Honda Accord, ma'am, four-door sedan.
And how much did you pay for the car?
The car cost $1,770.
When did you discuss this purchase with your husband?
Beginning the month of May 2004.
What did you say to him, and what did he say to you?
He stated, that's good. Does the body look good on the car? Does the car run well? And I stated yes, that my neighbor showed me where he maintained the maintenance on the car periodically. He stated that that's fine, go ahead with the purchase.
Is that right?
No.
Well, tell me what happened when she called you.
She called me and told me that her neighbor was selling a car for $1,500. She said that he was moving or something and that she could get the car. I told her, well, what kind of car is it? Because I haven't seen the car. Can I come check the car out or look at the car? She said that she know her neighbor pretty well because he lives right next door and that he takes good care of his cars and that she figured that it was good because she know him and she didn't think that he would sell her anything that wasn't
in good shape.
Right.
And what did you say to her?
I told her that, okay, then let me look at the car. You know,
well,
so,
you should listen to me, Mr. Evans. Let's not dance around with each other, sir.
Okay.
If things make sense, they make sense. It makes sense that she told you about this car and you said, well, I'd like to take a look at it.
Correct.
That makes sense. And she said, well, I don't think, according to you, I don't think I have to take a look at it. This is my neighbor. I know him very well. I know that he's taken good care of the car. I've seen the records on the car. And then you have to say something else. Either you say to her, well, I still want to take a look at it and I'll call and make an appointment, or you say to her, fine. Now, which is it?
I told her I still wanted to look at the car. I told her, I asked her when was the guy moving and when was the last day that she was going to actually get the car. She didn't actually purchase the car from the guy until the day before he left.
So why didn't you go over there and take a look at it?
He did, ma'am.
Shh.
No,
Just a second. He did?
Yes, ma'am.
When did he go over there, Miss Cunningham?
Ma'am, he did a drive-by of the car in June.
When you say a drive-by?
The car is parked in front of the neighbor's yard, and I shared with him, it was on a Sunday evening, he was picking up our son. I stated that the car is parked in the front yard of my neighbor. When you pick Kelvin up, you could pass by and see the car. He acknowledged that the car was showroom clean, based on the outside of the body.
I never met the neighbor, so I don't...
Just a second. You don't have to meet the neighbor, Mr. Evans.
Well, I'm saying as far as going to his yard and stuff.
Mr. Evans,
yes,
did you ask for the neighbor's name?
No, because...
Just a second. Is there any reason why you didn't ask for the neighbor's name?
Because I asked her to set it up so we could go by and look at it together.
What's wrong with you? She's already looked at the car. If you want to look at the car, Mr. Evans, you have to be proactive.
Asking her to set it up with a neighbor that she already knows is proactive. I just can't go to this man's house and just
it isn't. Listen to me. Baloney. Listen, Mr. Evans. Baloney. I'm sympathetic with you to this. When I read your answer to this extent, you said, well, she bought this car. She didn't ask for my input. And if she bought the car without asking for my input, I'm not paying for half. That's what you said in your answer, right?
That is correct.
And I'm telling you that I was sympathetic with that answer because I think that it's wrong for someone, if in fact it's true, for Miss Cunningham to say, listen, we agreed 2 years ago we were going to buy my son a car. I saw my neighbor's car. I liked the car. I went and bought the car, and then I presented my ex-husband with half the bill. And my ex-husband said to me, I'm not paying for half the bill on this car that you picked out yourself because I didn't have any input. That's what you're saying, and I was sympathetic. But that's not what happened, Mr. Evans. No.
Judge, I never saw the car.
That's your fault. That's your fault. You have two eyes, you have a mouth, you have a finger that can do the walking through the yellow pages and the white pages. I am speaking. I am speaking, sir. Now, certain things make sense, and I've been in this business a long time. What kind of work do you do, sir?
Manage a payday loan store.
And if somebody doesn't give you the money, what do you do?
We try calling them and getting them to come in and
Now, when you try calling them, let's say, put your papers down. Let's say you have their address.
Yes, ma'am.
And you don't have a telephone number.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you do?
Mail them a letter.
Did you ever think of calling information to get a telephone number? Have you ever done that, Mr. Evans? You know exactly where I'm going, sir. You get information, you try to get it from information. You take out a phone book, you turn to the white pages and see in the white pages whether there's an address that corresponds with that. Or you can do both and mail them a letter.
Yes, ma'am.
What I'm saying to you, Mr. Evans, you are a smart man. You're a businessman. If you wanted to take a look at this car, inside and out, all you had to do was be a little proactive.
She never gave me the person's name.
No, she doesn't have to give you. Listen to me. You asked. You did not ask.
Judge, I asked Barbara to let me come by and look at the car.
Had a key. Shh. Don't ask Barbara. Barbara has taken care of your son for the last 11 years.
Barbara and I have taken care of our son for the last 11 years.
Let's get it straight.
Barbara and I have taken care of our son.
1, 2. You know what?
Barbara has not
means?
taken care of our son by herself. I have always been there for my child,
Just
and
a
I
second. With
don't want her being in court saying
I'm
that.
speaking. Don't speak over me.
Yes, ma'am.
Who has primary physical custody of your son?
Kelvin is with Barbara because Kelvin...
Don't tell me because. Who has primary...
I do.
You do. Let me see the papers that give you primary physical custody.
I don't have them with me.
Okay.
When we got a divorce, Judge...
Barbara, turn around.
When we got a divorce years ago, I had primary custody of our son. I had him for the 9 months he was in school. She had him for the summer months. That's in the divorce decree. Okay, after Kelvin stayed with me for the first 4 years, then with Barbara kept calling and complaining and crying to him, saying how much this and how much that, he asked me, he said, Daddy, can I go stay with my mom, son? I said, okay, son, I don't have a problem with that. If that's what you want to do, I'll let you do that. I moved so I can be close to him. Barbara got transferred again to Colorado. I moved out to Colorado so I can still be close to my son. She got transferred to St. Louis. I moved to St. Louis so I can still be close to my one and only son, so I could be there for him to help raise him. So with her coming up in here saying that I have not helped and I have not been there for my son, that is downright ridiculous.
So then I'm asking you, sir, if you did all this moving from one city to another city to another city, with all that entails for moving, so for the last 6 years, he's been living with his mother. You've moved. So for the last 6 years, full-time, she's been the full-time custodial parent, and you've moved so that you could accommodate her work. Whatever that was, you've moved because you thought it was in your child's best interest. You moved, you've changed, you've gotten an apartment, you've got turned on gas, electric, telephone, you've moved, you've transferred registrations on cars, and you're telling me that you couldn't find out the name of the neighbor who lives next door so you could go and look at the car? Mr. Evans, I don't buy it.
Judge, if she had allowed me the opportunity to do that before she moved ahead, then that's what would have happened. But she did not allow me the opportunity.
Oh, stop
that's
it.
just like after
Stop
the car.
Stop crying.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today, Barbara Evans Cunningham says ex-husband Bruce Evans owes for his share of a Honda Accord purchased for their son. Bruce says Barbara didn't consult him first.
Now, I find first that you did in fact agree to pay for half the car. That she in good faith called you and said to you, before she purchased the car, I have the ability to purchase this car that I think is a good deal. You said to her, is it a good car? I'd like to come and take a look at it. You're leaving it up to her. And she's a working gal too, I gather, because you say that you moved to accommodate her career, which means that she probably earns more than you do. So that she's a busy girl. So instead of you making the appointment with the neighbor, because I'm sure this is a perfectly nice person that she purchased the car from, and you're not a bad man. I mean, you're not an ex-convict, are you?
No.
Good. So the neighbor wouldn't suggest, I don't want him near me or near my house or near my children or near my family. You're just a nice man. You're a nice man who's got a child who needs a car, a teenager. And you say, listen, I want to come and take the car out because I understand that my ex-wife wants to buy it. That's a very simple thing. Very simple. You chose not to do that. You chose to say, you make the arrangements. And when she didn't make the arrangements, she said to you, give me the $850. You said no. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $850. That's it.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Bruce has been very downright evil to me. He has always manipulated the system. He has never held a full-time job in his whole life.
My ex-wife is just disgruntled. That's all it is.
I have no reason to be disgruntled and upset because I have a very wonderful life. And my life got better after I got rid of him.
For her to get in court and say that I'm not there to take care of my son or not help with my son It's just downright ridiculous.
I'm going to applaud and scream with hallelujah when you're out of all of your money. You're nothing but a freeloader.
So Barbara just got some evil ways about her, I guess, and that's all it is.
Don't have babies for men that don't take care of their responsibilities.
25-year-old home appraiser Amanda Knockhart is suing her ex-boyfriend, 27-year-old basketball coach Ethan Jordan, for a loan, a trip to Las Vegas, and for kicking her in the ribs.
Yeah, this is case number 243 on the calendar in the matter of Knockhart versus Jordan. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Knockhart, Mr. Jordan is your former roommate, and it is your claim in this lawsuit that he owes you for a whole bunch of stuff.
Correct.
Mr. Jordan says he owes you for absolutely nothing, and you got to get on with your life. Get over it and get on with your life. When was he your roommate?
He moved in August of 2003 through June of 2004.
And how long had you known him before he became your roommate?
Probably about a month.
Was your relationship with him solely that of landlord and tenant?
No.
So you had a social relationship with him as well?
No.
What?
A love relationship?
I said social.
Social?
Yes.
Sure.
Well, is that a question?
No.
That's a statement. So you had a social relationship with him as well. Is that right, Mr. Jordan?
Not entirely, Your Honor. I sometimes slept on the couch, but for the most part, we did share a bedroom.
Okay, so you had a social relationship, but you paid rent?
No, ma'am.
You did not pay rent?
I moved in with the understanding that I would not pay rent or find any costs in her bills.
Oh, that's interesting. So you weren't a tenant because the word tenant implies that you pay rent.
Yes, ma'am.
So you just lived together. I mean, I was confused about the statements. You lived together, and he did not pay rent.
He did not pay rent, but the agreement was that he was supposed to maintain the automobile and the maintenance of that. And
whose automobile?
Mine.
Supposed to maintain a car.
Right.
Is that your agreement?
That agreement wasn't up until, like, say, January.
So from August of 2003 until January of 2004, Mr. Jordan, what you're telling me is you were just sponging.
No, Your Honor. It was all her idea.
Oh, no, I didn't know her idea. I didn't ask whose idea it was. I said, just listen to my question, Mr. Jordan. According to you, from August 2003 till January 2004, you paid no rent, you paid no bills, you paid no car insurance, you didn't have any responsibility with regard to the car. So far, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That makes you a sponge.
Okay.
Right?
I would
that means
disagree.
that as far as I'm concerned, there must be something really hidden about you that I don't see. What? Whatever. Okay. Now, he's a sponge.
Yes.
That makes you pretty dumb. Right?
No.
Sure it does. You know somebody a month, you invite them to come into your home, they pay you nothing. Must do something. Do you have a big home?
No, he was supposed to get a check that was mailed to his ex-girlfriend's house. That's why I never saw the money.
Look, you say, I met him, he moved in.
Correct.
And you agreed that he could use my car to get to and from work if he paid the insurance and the maintenance. That's what you say.
That's right.
So evidently he worked, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Usually when you have a job, you make what?
Yeah, but he got fired.
Money. And when you have a job and you make money, you take care of your expenses, like rent and food and electric and gas, unless, you know, you're a sponge. So according to you, he did not pay for the insurance on the car.
No.
So why don't you throw him out?
Well, he was supposed to be getting a big check, like I said, for $2,000, and the check was mailed somewhere else instead of our residence, and he apparently spent the money.
And when did he get the check?
February.
Well, what happened in February when you knew he got the check and he spent the money on something else? Did you throw him out?
No, he had another job at that time, finally, and was supposed to get the paychecks. Then he got arrested, and his lawyer that he owed money to was suing him. I couldn't get any of it at that point.
At that point, what you're supposed to say is, I am a reasonably intelligent person.
Right.
I'm living with somebody that's taking advantage of me. Get out.
Right.
Unless you're in love and everything is going to work out okay and you're really not interested in the money, you're really interested in the relationship, and the only reason you come to a point where you're interested in the money is because you're not together anymore.
No, he did start staying at a friend of his house more often.
When?
That was in May, because...
I'm talking about February, March, April.
Okay.
Nothing. Goodbye. All right. What's next? What else does he owe you money for?
A vacation that we took together and for medical bills.
All right. So let's go to the vacation. When was the vacation?
February.
Where did you go?
Las Vegas.
For how long?
February 22nd to the 29th.
You wait to drink later. And was he working at the time?
He was going to Las Vegas to work.
Was he working at the time?
Nowhere else, no.
And what was your arrangement?
He was working the convention there, the magic show, and when he returned...
What do you do for a living?
Your Honor, I have always, since she's known me, maintained an occupation as a basketball coach at the YMCA. I still work there today.
What were you doing in Las Vegas?
Oh, I modeled for a clothing company.
So you were modeling?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get paid?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. How much did you get paid? Do you remember?
Not entirely, not exactly. I think it was like $1,500, some give or take.
And who paid for all the expenses to Vegas?
To Vegas? She did.
Well, why didn't you compensate her for that?
When I got the news that I was going to Vegas, I had all my... They flew me out. They flew me out. They would room me, pay for airfare. I had a place to go. She decided that she wanted to go to Vegas. We sat down. We planned out the whole trip. Okay. When we got to Vegas, her and I would disagree, as usual, and she went one way and I went another. I stayed with a friend. That's it.
How many days were you there?
In the hotel room, I think I stayed 1 day.
Okay, how many days?
1.
Okay, so you put him out after 1 day?
No, he only stayed 1 night away from me. He tried leaving me in the middle of Las Vegas by myself. Yeah. So I tried catching a flight home, which would have costed me a lot more money than...
How did you get to Vegas? Did you fly?
Yeah.
You flew. Well, his ticket was paid for.
No, it wasn't. I have the credit card receipts right here.
Oh, well, she says it wasn't paid for. Did
Your
you
Honor,
get... Were you reimbursed by the company for your airfare there?
Normally they would have, but I opted to go with her since she wanted to go with me.
Yeah, right.
Ooh, he slipped. All right, how much was his plane ticket?
$345 for
his
the
plane
airfare.
ticket. Okay. And how much was the hotel room?
$214.76.
For both of you?
No, I divided all the costs by 2.
So it's clear to me that you were compensated, Mr. Jordan, for that. If you weren't, you were paid $1,500, probably plus expenses. You got the check. I assume you got the check to cover your expenses as $559. So far, you're off $559 for this trip to Las Vegas. What else does he owe you for? Don't say anything else. I'm giving you, so far, every benefit of the doubt, more benefit of the doubt than I usually would give to somebody who acts so dumb. What else does he owe you for?
The rental car.
Listen to me. Leave Las Vegas. Get on to something else.
Doctor bill.
Now, tell me about the doctor bill.
Ethan abused me, and I had to go to the doctor's.
When?
5/8.
Tell me what happened on May 8th.
He kicked me in the ribs, broke 2 of my toes, threw me...
Don't tell me about the argument.
I don't know what actually the argument was about.
And how did the verbal argument escalate into a physical argument?
He came dashing from the living room, charging at me.
And?
Threw me against the kitchen cabinets, picked me up, threw me on the floor, spit on my face, and kicked me in the ribs.
Did you call the police?
I called my friend to come get me.
Did you call the police?
Not at that point.
When, after May 8th, did you call the police and report it?
I had a personal protection order put out on him on July 22nd. I didn't call the police on that incident.
Why not?
I don't have an answer for that. I'm sorry.
Mr. Jordan, you want to tell me what happened on May 8th?
Your Honor, I do remember the fight that we got into. I don't remember why I attacked her, but I do know that that was not the only incident that became physical between either one of us.
Did you suffer any injuries on May 8th, Mr. Jordan?
Your Honor, I've got scratches all over me, but I didn't go to report them. I didn't go to the hospital or anything like that.
I see the doctor's report. Did you take her to the hospital, doctor, or whatever?
I don't remember her going to the hospital.
No, I took myself there, Your Honor.
Okay. Miss Knockhart, after May 8th, you went back to live with him.
He started staying... No.
Are you telling me that between May 8th and June, which is when you said you separated, because you said you separated in June.
Correct.
You didn't live together at all?
I stayed at my mom's a lot more because...
I'm not asking you a lot more. I'm asking you at all, Miss Knockhart.
Not that day or not the next day.
What about the third day?
Yes.
And when you went back the third day, did you share a room together?
No.
Not ever. Between May 8th and June when he...
Yes. Once or twice.
Miss Knockhart,
yes.
I have no idea what this bill is for. This says that the closing date of the statement is May 8th. The doctor says that he saw you on April 23rd with regard to an assault. I would have assumed that if somebody broke your toes during the course of an assault, you would remember the month and date that it took place.
Yeah.
Well, I would assume that. Listen, are you her mother?
Yes, I am.
She lives by herself?
Yes.
How old is she?
25.
She's probably not old enough to live by herself.
No, she's more than capable. Her judgment in men aren't that good.
Her judgment isn't that good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today, Linda Knockhart says her ex-boyfriend Ethan Jordan beat her up and broke her ribs. She's also suing for a loan and a trip to Las Vegas.
Where are you living now, Mr. Jordan?
I live with my brother.
You pay him rent?
No.
Is not an answer.
No, ma'am, I don't.
Why not?
Because he's my brother. He helped me out of this relationship.
Does your brother work?
He's a doctor.
And you just told me a moment ago that you've been working continuously.
Yes, ma'am. I have 2 jobs myself.
What is it with you that you think that other people are supposed to take care of you?
I don't believe that.
I'm not talking about her. Let's forget her for a second.
Okay.
How old are you?
27.
Grow up. Responsibility. You're supposed to pay your way. You're not supposed to spend all the money that you make on clothes. Sir, do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, ma'am. I understand.
Listen, your mother says that you have lousy judgment in men. You better start getting better judgment in men. So far, the only thing he owes you is $559 for the trip to Vegas. That's his expenses, because I think he was reimbursed those expenses and you expected them. I can't figure out whether you were assaulted or when you were assaulted or what it was all about, because you brought no proof of that. So, exercise better judgment in the future. That's my decision. Judgment for the plaintiff, $559. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
For her to let me live that long with her, drive her car, you know what I'm saying? She says I beat her up and she didn't make any kind of police report. It speaks for itself.
I think he just used me and he wanted somewhere to stay for free, and now he's found somewhere else to freeload.
The violence, tumultuous relationship. I didn't talk about how fish hook I was beat with, or you know what I'm saying, spoons and whatever that was thrown at me. So I'm just happy this all done over.
Of course, he's got to make me look bad, because look at how he appeared in the courtroom. So
I wish her the best. I have no hard feelings for her, man. I hope she gets, you know, whatever's coming to her.
Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một chú gấu đang đọc sách nhé. Chúng ta cùng bắt đầu thôi nào.
account manager Fred Grande is suing the mother of his child, 25-year-old waitress Mariam Wahab, for the return of an engagement ring. Mariam claims the ring was a birthday gift.
Quiet in the courtroom, please. Yeah, this is case number 60 on the calendar, the matter of Grande versus Wahab. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Mr. Grande, you want the engagement ring back, and the defendant says it was not an engagement ring but a birthday Christmas present, right?
That's correct.
Can I see the receipt for the ring? Okay, well, the first thing I have to ascertain is, Mr. Grande, you are suing her for $699 for the return of the value of the ring, and you only paid $359.11 for it. What's the other money for?
Okay, originally the $699 is the retail value of the ring. I did have it appraised, and the total that I did pay on it is $385, and that's the total amount that I did pay into it. So that's what I would be seeking, is $385.
But didn't you think I'd figure that out?
Yeah.
I mean, when you filed your lawsuit, didn't you think that I'd figure out that you were seeking twice as much as you paid for the ring?
Well,
you are the only human being in history who buys a ring from a jewelry store, and it doubles in value in a relatively short period of time. All right, so you're not seeking $700 for the ring, you're seeking $359.11.
That's correct.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with shooting big, though.
Oh, I shoot big too, sir. Okay, so now we know what your lawsuit is about, Mr. Grande. You and the defendant have a child together, is that right?
We do.
And how old is that child?
She's 16 months.
And you share custody of her?
We do.
I have full custody.
Shh, don't speak out. I'm really good at getting information. It's really my strong suit. I'm really good at getting quality, accurate information. But I like to get it from the person who I choose to get it from. Okay? Do you have joint custody, sir?
She has sole custody. I have joint legal custody, though.
Okay, so she has sole physical custody. She takes care of all the problems, and you can say, I have joint legal custody.
Somewhat.
See, I told you I shoot big. So you had a long-term relationship with her?
Yeah, over 2 years.
Oh, lifetime. And in the 2 years that you were together, you managed to have a relationship, have a baby, and separate. Is that right?
Correct.
And since I assume, Mr. Grande, that you have been to court, if you have joint legal custody, despite the fact that she has physical custody, I also assume that there is a support order.
There is.
And how much is the support order?
It's for $337 a month, but right now I'm currently paying $500.
Well, $337 a month is the support order, and if you're paying $500, there must have been some arrears.
Correct.
Which means that you weren't paying for a while.
Not necessarily, no.
Well, that's what arrears are, sir. Arrears are fixed by the court.
Correct.
If, for a period of time, you are not paying support. Don't you think that they put me here for a reason?
Oh, I understand.
You think that I was a go-go dancer before I got this job? I was not. I was a judge in the family court. Arrears are when you don't pay support. They fix on and they tack on an additional amount for that period of time that you didn't pay support.
It's not from lack of payment, though. We originally went to court in June, and she felt that the $250 wasn't sufficient, so then we didn't get to court and finalize until September. So
Just a minute. She felt what $250 wasn't sufficient?
Originally, the support order was set at $250, and she didn't fill that out.
Okay. So originally, a court set child support at $250, or you were paying it voluntarily?
It hadn't been set in any decree yet.
Fine. So you were giving her voluntarily, according to you, $250 a month.
She didn't get any money until September, until the final decree was established.
Now, the final decree was what? $337?
Correct.
Well, you just said to me they felt that $250 wasn't enough.
It was for back payments, $337 times all the months since the original court date of June. So that's why I was, from the start, I was $1,400.
What was this $250 that you were talking to me about, Mr. Grande?
That's what our lawyers had come to agreement, and we thought that's what the amount should have been set at.
Mr. Grande, is what you're telling me from the time you and the defendant separated until the time the court fixed an order of support, you were not paying any money?
No.
So, what I said to you was, your support order is $337, and because you were dingling around, they added another amount to cover the arrears for when you weren't paying any money. And you ought to respond, yes, ma'am. No.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how long was it that you were separated, Mr. Grande, before the court set an order of support?
She moved out in February 2002.
Yes, and when did the court make a support order?
September of 2002.
February, March, April, May, June, July, August. So for 8 months, you didn't pay any support.
Mm-mm.
Is that right?
Correct, Your Honor.
Now let's get to this $350 engagement ring, the Hope Diamond that you bought for her. Can I see the ring? Mm-hmm. That looks like a pretty ring. Doesn't look like any sort of an engagement ring I ever saw. Engagement ring usually has one nice stone right there in the middle that just sits there and smiles at you. Give this back to her until I decide what to do with it, would you? When's your birthday?
December 18th.
And is it on December 18th every year?
Yes.
It doesn't change dates. You know,
Right.
2002 it's December 18th, 2003 it's December 18th, right?
Right.
So, Mr. Grande, you're going to explain to me, sir, how serendipitously, that means just by accident, sort of, you purchased this ring at the jewelry store on December 18th, 2002.
Coincidence.
Coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. He says his ex-fiancée, Mariam Wahab, owes for the return of an engagement ring. Mariam says the ring was a birthday gift.
Tell me what happened when you gave her the ring in December 18th, 2002, or whenever you gave it
It's
to
not
her.
when I gave it to her, but I'll explain
When did you
to
give it to her?
I took myself, her mother, her brother, and his wife, and my mother out to dinner, and that's when I presented the ring to her.
Explain to me how you did that.
Well, we sat down before we got the food. I opened the case, showed it to her, and I said, "Will you marry me?" I didn't say happy birthday. I didn't say Merry Christmas. I said, "Will you marry me?"
And what did she say?
Well, of course, she said yes.
I would have thought twice.
If she said no, she wouldn't be wearing the ring, right?
Okay. Okay, good. So that's how it happened.
Correct.
And that was on what date, sir?
I would say it was about December 20th.
And you remember that distinctly?
I know it was after her
No,
birthday,
you
yes.
remember. No, do you remember distinctly exactly how it happened? Because
Yes, I do.
we're not talking so long ago, right?
No.
So you remember that day and that dinner clearly,
I do.
and you would remember something that happened the day before also clearly. Is that right?
I would.
Your daughter wasn't born yet, is that right?
She wasn't.
But the defendant was pregnant at the time.
She was due very soon.
So she was very pregnant at
Sure.
the time. So it was an exciting time, and you would remember that time. What did you get for the defendant for her birthday, December of 2002, 2 days before you gave her the ring?
I believe it was some clothes.
No, you're not, you believe. I'm going to give you a minute to just sit back and think about it. Her birthday, your girlfriend, who's very pregnant, going to have your baby, who you love desperately, who you had bought a ring for, 2 days before you gave it to her, is celebrating a birthday on December 18th. And birthdays are really important when you have a new relationship, so you wouldn't think of not getting her something for her birthday.
Correct.
So now I want you to think really hard and tell me what you bought her for her birthday. Think hard. I want you to put on your thinking cap.
I believe
Think hard.
it was a sweater and an outfit.
Was it a maternity sweater or a regular sweater?
It was a regular sweater.
Was it a maternity outfit or a regular outfit?
It was regular.
Was it a daytime outfit or an evening outfit?
Daytime. Well, I know what you're getting at. I do.
You do?
I do.
Then if you do, then why don't you just, instead of lying...
Well, because if...
No, listen to me. Instead of lying and making things up as you're going, why don't you just say, quite frankly, Judge, I don't remember. I'm sure I bought her a birthday present on her birthday, but quite frankly, I don't remember, instead of standing there like a jerk and making things up.
I don't think that's the case.
What do you mean you don't think that's the case? You don't think that I know that you just stood there and made up the fact that you got
bought
her
her
a
a
sweater
sweater.
and an outfit for her birthday?
I was planning on giving her the ring around her birthday and before Christmas. I mean, it's not like I was making the best money, at that time, so...
Mr. Grande, don't
regardless.
you understand what I just said to you? I said that you lied when you just told me that you got her a sweater and an outfit for her birthday, when in fact... You just told me now that you got her nothing else because you were planning on giving her a ring around her birthday. And I said to you, don't stand there and make things up as you're going along because it makes you look ridiculous. Now, do you want to explain to me how you got this ring?
Yes, it was on my birthday. December 18th. We went to dinner that night on my birthday. It was my mom, my brother, his girlfriend. And he didn't give it to me where anybody else could see it. He like handed me the box under the table and didn't say anything. He never asked me to marry him, nothing like that. And I took it and then I brought it above the table and I showed everybody else, and that was it. Okay. And he gave me the receipt to go get it sized.
That's how you have the receipt?
Right.
Okay. When did you separate?
February 18th. It was 2003. It was after I had the baby. She was like 2 months old.
And when for the first time did he ask you for the ring back?
He sent me an email probably around December. I'm not sure of the month, but it was a while ago.
December of Can I see? Is that the email? May I have it, please?
And he asked me for it back. Oh.
It's kind of colorful language, so
Oh, I can take it. Now, when did you separate, Mr. Grande?
She moved out in February.
February of what year?
2003.
And this was sent on February 2004, a year later.
Mm-hmm.
And this was after you had been in court, is that right? Because I see you've got lawyers here.
Mm-hmm.
So after you were taken to court and you were given a support order in the amount of $500 a month, which includes arrears, we got this. Is that right?
Correct.
Too bad.
They didn't address
I have
that.
to make
There's
a
lot of things they
determination.
didn't-
I'm speaking. I have to make a determination whether the ring that you gave her a year and a half ago was a birthday present or an engagement present. So let's try to look at certain objective data. A, we had a relationship that had come to a point when there was going to be a permanent commitment because you had a child together. B, I find that it was not serendipitous that this ring was purchased on the day of her birthday, and I believe her and not you that it was the 18th of December when the family went out to dinner to celebrate her birthday, and not you taking the family out to dinner to present her with an engagement ring. When it was presented to her, it was just given to her exactly as she said as it was given to her, which is
under the table.
Under the table. Here it is. She took it out and showed it to everybody.
We hadn't.
I find that,
No.
furthermore, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. It doesn't look like an engagement ring. It looks like a ring.
Judge, we have an engagement party. This is important, though.
I'm speaking.
Do I have a chance when you're done?
No. You had your chance. She had her chance. Now I'm ruling. Now you have to be quiet.
There was an engagement party
now
in
you have
Virginia.
to be quiet. Do you understand? Now you have to be quiet. Most importantly, sir, how you have the audacity to sue her for a $300 ring when for 6 months you paid not 1 penny in child support, not a penny, is something, quite frankly, Mr. Grande, that I don't understand. And your demand for the engagement ring back, engagement ring is in quotes, made a year after you separated at a time when she was taking you to court for support is outrageous. And before I would come to court, when I had committed an outrageous act to seek the return of a $300 ring, I would take a good stiff drink and think twice about where my morals are. Your case is dismissed, Mr. Grande. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He thought I started dating other people, and that's when he got mad and asked for his ring back, and I said no.
We had an engagement party in Virginia, which didn't get brought up. Was that a fake engagement party? I doubt it.
Right. We just tried to make it look good, like I was getting married before I was pregnant, before I told him I was pregnant.
I take care of my child. I pay support. I've never missed a payment.
As far as the child support, for example, he tries to get over on everybody as much as he can, and like this. But in the end, he always ends up looking stupid.
19-year-old Melinda Krieger says former live-in boyfriend Ashley Brittingham owes for several unpaid loans. Melinda says when she received a large check from Social Security, Ashley turned into a...
Dean Miller is suing vehicle owner Robert Pena for damage after his 17-year-old son hit Dean's car.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2076, Miller versus Pena.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Pena, is that your son?
Yes, it is.
The one who was driving the car?
Yes.
Okay, good. You stand up next to your father. Mr. Miller, is your claim that the defendant's son hit your car that was parked in a parking lot?
Yes, Your Honor.
And it was parked in the parking lot of a high school?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you work in that high school?
Yes.
As what?
I'm a teacher.
What do you teach?
I teach what's called on-site continuation. It's a continuation classroom for 10th through 12th grade students.
Do you go to that school?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. On what date did you park your car when you allege it was hit?
That was on March 8th, Your Honor.
You were in school that day.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you should know that in reviewing this case, Mr. Miller, because he was not there when his car was hit.
Correct.
Correct? And so he alleges that it was you who hit his car and then left the scene. Your father said it was not you who hit his car, and there's no proof that it was you who hit his car. That's what your father said. Before you answer my questions, I'm going to tell you that Mr. Miller has a video that he says was taken by school cameras that were zoned onto the parking lot that demonstrates that you actually did hit his car and leave. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
So now we're going to go back to March 8th, and you're going to tell me what happened with Mr. Miller's car.
So I drive myself to school every day, or at the time I was driving myself to school because that was my only way of getting to school.
Did you have a driver's license?
At the time, no, I did not have a driver's
So you were driving a car without a driver's license?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what kind of a car were you driving?
It was a 1991 Camaro.
Where did you get the car from?
Me and my dad had gone off the street. It was a project car.
How old are you?
17.
Did you try to take a driving test?
Yes.
When?
Back when I had turned 17, actually, in February of last year.
And you didn't pass it?
No.
Did you take the written test?
No.
What did you take in February?
The practical test.
Just the practical test, the driving test?
Yes.
And you failed that?
Yes.
So despite the fact that you failed that, you drove the car, and your father knew that you were driving the car without a license? That's a yes or a no?
Yes.
Was there insurance on this car, Mr. Pena?
No, there wasn't.
So no insurance, no license. So far, not good parenting. You understand that, Mr. Pena?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so you drove yourself to school and?
There's a parking lot that all the students, teachers, anyone who goes to school, really, they can park
Yes, nobody suggests you were trespassing in a place you weren't supposed to be.
Yeah, so every morning I would park in...
Not everyone, look at me. That day, Mr. Miller's car.
Yes, Your Honor. That day, March 8th, I came to school as usual and I parked in my area, and then one of the on-school deputies that the school has, he pulled up right behind me as I parked, and he asked me for my information, he asked me for my name, my school ID.
I want to know what happened with Mr. Miller's car.
Oh, nothing happened with Mr. Miller's car.
So what you're telling me is that you did not hit Mr. Miller's car. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, Your Honor.
What car were you driving that day?
1991 Camaro.
What color is it?
Red.
How long have you been going to that school?
It's my 4th year going.
How many other people drive a 1991 Camaro? Red. Nobody.
Nobody.
And so I'm going to watch this video. Sarah, do we have the video?
I have it. So,
Mm-hmm.
there. Wait, you'll see it.
Okay. You had a truck?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so there's no question you hit the truck. Do you want me to show you the video?
No, Your Honor.
Well, if you don't want to see the video, that's because you told me a lie.
Oh, yes, I'd like to see the video.
Absolutely. Going to watch very carefully, you pulling into a spot, and the truck moved as you were pulling in. Have they shown you the video, Mr. Pena?
They showed me a different version of that video.
Well, I've just seen the version that I saw. Got it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Saw the truck move, did you?
Yes, it did.
When you were pulling in next to it?
Yes, I was.
When you were pulling in next to it? So that didn't happen because there was an earthquake. That happened because you hit the truck.
Yes, Your Honor.
Fine. Now we understand each other, Mr. Pena?
Yes.
Great. That's a yes. Okay. Can I see pictures of your truck, please, and the estimate to repair it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you seen the photographs?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Totally consistent, right? Okay. Mr. Miller, you're from California?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you regularly teach today?
Yes.
So you had to take a day off.
Yes, I have a substitute today, yes.
How many days off are you allowed?
10 per year. I've accumulated quite a few because I don't take many days off.
You get paid for those days?
I get compensated because I have sick days or personal necessity days.
The reason I'm asking you these questions, Mr. Miller, because it's no question that you are entitled to have your car fixed. But that's, to me, even though that's all you're requesting, I think the fact that Mr. Pena allowed his son to drive a car without insurance and without a license, not only without a license, but knowing that his son took a driving test the month before and failed it, which means that he was not a good driver. Not a good enough driver to get a driver's license. And I have a lot of people in my family that don't drive well, that I don't like to be in the car with. But they all have driver's licenses because they managed to pass a driving test. So I know that you are only requesting the $1,524, but I'm actually awarding you $2,500.
Thank you.
And that's for the aggravation of, instead of Mr. Pena saying to you, I'm sorry, my son hit your car, because either his son lied to him.
Your Honor, can I say something?
Either his son lied to him, or his son told him the truth, but he lied to me. And he's the grown-up. He set an example for his son that said it's okay to break the law. Not only for you, because you take the car to school. Take the car to school, even though you failed. Take the car to school. It has no insurance. If you hit somebody in that car and you seriously injure them, that car has no insurance. Car has no insurance. He has nothing to lose. Car has no insurance, but the person who he hit, person whose property he may have destroyed, they have no recourse. You understand, sir? That's a bad parental example. You want to say something to me or not?
Yes, I do.
I don't care that you didn't like it. That's not, as a parent, the lesson you should be teaching. And whether or not you like the way the sheriff spoke to him, that is totally irrelevant to me.
Later.
I paid as much as I could supporting him. I wasn't getting paid.
Dean Miller claims vehicle owner Robert Pena owes for damage after his 17-year-old son hit Dean's car.
Go ahead.
My thing I didn't like was how he got approached.
I don't care whether you like it or not.
That's what I didn't.
I don't care whether you like it or not. Did your son come home from school that day and say, I hit somebody's car?
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
Nowhere.
And just a second. And when you asked him whether he hit somebody's car, what did he tell you? Just be careful.
He said, I think. He felt intimidated
just a second.
by
I think.
The sheriff and him.
I don't care that you didn't like it. That's not, as a parent, that's not, as a parent, the lesson you should be teaching. First of all, you allowed your son to violate the law. You allowed it. And then, I mean, I would certainly know whether I caused that much damage. He knew that that car moved. So either he lied to you or you lied to me. And whether or not you liked the way the school official spoke to him or the sheriff spoke to him, that is totally irrelevant to me. That shouldn't be the takeaway from this. The takeaway from this is you're supposed to follow the rules. The rules are meant for everybody, and that includes you and your kid. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. We're finished here.
This court is adjourned.
Police officer came behind me when I parked and accusing me that I'd hit someone.
The school deputy saw the video, knew the car, so he approached the student.
The person who I supposedly hit came out with a megaphone yelling at me.
There is no megaphone. So I don't know where that came from.
Telling me that I'd hit him. So I was kind of like freaking out. I didn't really know what to think.
If it happened to me, he could hit someone else. And
I didn't know I hit your car. Like, did I hit your car? Like, I didn't even know what to think. I could have sworn I did not.
This was fortunate that it was just a parked car in a parking lot.
It is time to get his license, yes, that is correct.
It is time to get the car fixed and just get some closure on this.
In our family, we would call that contact a love tap. And as someone who has had a few run-ins potentially with stationary objects, I will tell you...
Not potentially.
I will tell you, you know when you hit a stationary object, even if it's just a light little love tap. So I just thought it was outrageous that the defendants, father and son, they knew that there was a video and still took the position of, nope, nope, nope.
Well, his father's position was, I didn't like the way they spoke to my son, and therefore, I'm not responsible. They shouldn't have spoken to him. I mean, he's 17 years old, but he looks like a man. He's taller than his father, you know.
You have to take responsibility.
But you have to take responsibility and not drive a car, especially. You failed a driving test. The most basic thing. I mean, you know, we have people...
I will say, I did pass on the first try, so...
Yes, but we have people in our family who actually did not.
Okay, yes.
And they didn't drive...
Be named.
And they didn't drive a car.
Yeah.
Until they could pass a driving test.
And their parents were the first ones to say, no, 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 no.
No, no, no.
No shot until you pass that test.
Absolutely.
So parents need to be responsible.
Lucinda Noble is suing her sister, Tiffany Acuna, for rent and property damage.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2109, Noble versus Acuna.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Noble, this is your sister.
Yes, ma'am.
Older or younger?
Younger.
Any other siblings?
Many.
How many?
I have 5 sisters and 4 brothers.
And you have kids. How many children do you have?
I have 3 daughters.
How old are they?
18, 15, and almost 12.
And you?
I have 3 children, and they are 10, 5, and 2.
There came a time when, that was in August of 2021, according to your complaint, that you were having some housing difficulties with your children.
No, that's not true.
Well, Miss Noble, what led you to believe that your sister was having some housing difficulty? Because you start your complaint by indicating that she was about to become homeless.
Her house that she was living in was being put up for sale.
So the house that you had been renting.
Correct.
For how long?
About 2 years. I'm not really sure. It was well over a
being
year.
sold.
Well, I didn't know that until I gave her my notice after I'd already previously asked my sister if we should move in.
So you approached her about you moving in with her.
Yes, correct.
And do you own your own home, Miss Noble?
I do.
Where you were living there alone with your 3 children?
Yes.
Okay, and how much rent were you paying?
$750.
Now, when you decided to move in with your sister, what rent was discussed?
Well, she had told me about $400 is what she wanted.
Okay, so she said the rent was $400 per month, and that was starting August 1st?
Right.
So this is what part of this case is about. Part of the case is about rent. You lived with your sister from August 1st, 2021, to a date in 2022 when you finally removed all of your property.
Kind of. I did not remove all of my property, but I removed what she allowed me to.
To remove on what date?
I'm going to say it was mid-May, but I'm not sure.
May of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So we have August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So between 9 and 10 months. For the 9 or 10 months that you were there, how many times did you pay her $400 in rent? She's going to have a list.
I have a list too of our.
And you have a list. So why don't you take a look at it and give me the exact number of months?
The time I paid her $400 was, I think, only one time, and there was other times I paid her different amounts. But our agreement was because I bought all the groceries, we just kept track on this app, which has a list. I paid way over $400 in total.
Well.
So our agreement had changed.
Just a second.
Okay.
You have an app 10 months.
Mm-hmm.
How much did you spend on that app?
12,000 something is right in here on the list.
Take a look, because you're going to show it to me.
I paid total $10,411.
Okay, and she?
She total was $11,291.
And that was to cover groceries, food, gas money.
Her phone was under mine.
This is something that I'm going to have to simplify. There came a time when there were issues with regard to you not paying her $400 a month rent, and you discussed it with her, correct? And in what month was that?
April.
It was before April. It was before I had gone on vacation.
What month and year?
December of 2021.
So what I'm reading in December of 2021, you had a dispute about how much you were spending, how much you weren't spending, and that $400 was not being forthcoming just for rent. You see, I can understand that the two of you decided to split bills, everything other than the $400 in rent. You each have 3 children. You're 2 adults. Let's get to December. Was it the beginning or middle of December that you had this discussion about just pay $400 a month and we'll deal with it?
Maybe the middle.
Okay. So we have January, February, March, April, and you moved out in May.
Correct. I was kicked out illegally, yes.
In May.
Yep.
Left in May. So that's 5 months. It was suggested by your landlord that just give me $400 a month and we'll split groceries.
In April, I have the proof of the text.
Just a second. So we have January, February, March, and April. 4 months. Did you give her $400 a month for those 4 months?
Nope, it was never discussed before then. I have the proof that it was discussed in April.
I'd like to see it.
Thank you.
It was discussed in April again.
Okay, just a second. I just want to see the proof. Well, show me if you have proof of an earlier conversation.
I don't.
Believe that there was an earlier conversation. Let me see the one that occurred in April.
It was mainly the receipts.
I'm not getting involved with that at all. Right now, you had a place to live with your 3 children for much less than the $750 a month that you were paying at another residence.
Right. And I spent way more on groceries. I did all the groceries.
Whatever. Your children didn't eat more.
Right, and my children
Okay.
didn't live there the full time.
I don't care.
Okay, I'm sorry, can I look on my phone? It might be faster. Is that okay if I show you the text?
I don't care where you
Okay.
show it to me, just show it to me.
Thank you, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, so I apologize. Okay, apologize, sorry. On April 24th, so if you want, and then you can scroll down because she kind of keeps for a couple days.
Oh, that wasn't an agreement, madam. These were final acts of desperation to get you to pay $400 a month. Here.
That was the first time I'd heard, about her.
Oh, no. That wasn't the first time you heard about it.
Right.
Because the first line is $400 better be under my door.
Right.
So that's not the first time you heard about it.
Right.
That's an act of desperation. Okay, so you had this conversation with her in December, and she was there until May. And according to you, you only paid $400 once. That's $2,000. By the way, how are your children supported?
I work. Well, I work, yes.
Is that a full-time job or a part-time job?
It was part-time.
Well, you don't support yourself and your 3 children with a part-time job. Do you get any child support for them?
I did get child support for 2 of them, yes.
For 2 of them?
Mm-hmm.
How much child support do you receive?
$300.
$300 a what?
A month.
Do you get any other assistance?
Yes, I had food stamps.
Mm-hmm. Do you still have food stamps?
Yes.
How much a month?
For something, I'm not exactly sure.
And when you bought food for the household, you used the food stamps as well as your other money from your part-time job, and got it, $400. So far, you owe your sister $2,000. That's for back rent. Now, you want to go through the damages that you allege that your sister caused?
Yes. So I had 2 couches, and those went away.
What do you mean both went away? What does that mean?
She got rid of them.
While she was living there?
Mm-hmm.
And you knew about it? In what month?
It was when I came back from vacation. My things were gone.
I'm not following. You were supposed to be gone for 2 weeks, according to her.
No, I was gone for 3.5 weeks.
You were gone for almost a month.
Mm-hmm.
She was babysitting for your children.
They don't really need babysat. They're older.
Well, your 12-year-old can't live by herself without a mother for a month.
No.
Okay. And your 18-year-old does what?
She works at a hotel.
So she works during the day or at night?
She didn't at the time. She was at 17 at the time.
You're not going to leave a 17, a 14, and an 11-year-old alone for a month.
Of course not.
Okay, so they were home with your sister.
Yes.
Let's get back to the initial question. I forgot what my question was before I went off on this tangent. Couches.
The couches.
That's where we're at.
Yes.
So you went away for a month, and when you came back, couches were gone.
Couches, like the whole house had transformed into basically her house.
I don't care, basically her house. I want to know what was missing.
So the couches were missing.
Okay, which couches? Couches from where to where?
So the couch from the living room, it was a sectional, and the couch from the basement.
Living room and basement. What happened to those couches?
Oh, they were gone a long time before, and I can prove you a text of her saying that they were gone before I even moved in, actually in August. She knew, and her daughter and her boyfriend helped me load them up and take them to the dump. She, in fact, told me she was getting rid of a lot of old furniture she did not care about. I have pictures.
Just a second. What you have is proof that those 2 items were disposed of before she went away on vacation.
Way before I moved in.
Okay. Now, Ms. Noble, your sister says that she has proof that those 2 couches were disposed of well before you went away on vacation. If she does, I'm not going to be happy with you. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Were those 2 couches gone before you went on vacation?
I can't recall, but I believe she wanted to make room for her furniture.
Just a second. Were those 2 couches gone before you went on vacation for a month?
I know the basement couch wasn't.
Okay. I think you're full of baloney.
She started giving my niece video games, movies, my food storage containers. She was just giving my things away.
Okay. I went to graduate school after I finished with high school for 9.
Lucinda Noble claims her sister, Tiffany Acuna, owes for rent and property damage. Tiffany is countersuing for an illegal lockout and filing a false CPS report.
Okay, let's go. Property taken without permission. What property did she take without your permission?
Okay, so
how far she owes you for rent?
The TV stand, she broke it and threw it under the trampoline.
What's next?
The weed trimmer, she took that. She started giving my niece my belongings while I was gone. She started giving my niece video games, movies, my food storage containers. She was just giving my things away.
Okay, she owes you for rent. I went to graduate school after I finished with high school for 9 years. I'm not dealing with Tupperware. So far, she owes you $2,000 for rent.
Okay, and then there was also the wall damage, the windows, the blinds,
just
the
a
carpet.
second, just a second. What wall damage and where?
The wall damage is from the room that she was staying in and the room that her boys were staying in.
May I see the damage that you're referring to?
Here's the one more of that, and then here's the blinds, and this was damages from her cat.
Well, this I can't see at all. Okay, so that I can't see at all. And if you're talking about nail holes, I'm not interested in nail holes where there were pictures, cutting them up. I don't know what this is a picture of. Tell me.
That's where her cat clawed up the carpet to get into her room.
Did you replace the carpet?
Not yet.
Do you have an estimate for replacing or patching that carpet?
They don't make that carpet anymore.
Okay, I don't know that. How did these blinds get broken?
I'm not sure. Are those the ones that were in my bedroom or the kids' bedroom? I really don't know, to be honest. But I do feel like I remember them being broken, but I just don't remember if they were broken when I already moved in or not. I really don't know, ma'am. I mean, honestly, I knew they were broken. It's like I'm remembering, but the house, like I said, was not in a good condition when I moved in.
Okay, I'm not talking about the rest of the house.
My daughter is actually, Tiffany told her that she knew they were.
She doesn't remember. You tell me that these blinds were in good condition before she and her family moved in.
Yes.
She says she doesn't remember. I have to rely on what you say to me because that's not ordinary wear and tear.
No.
Do you have a bill for new blinds?
From Lowe's, I have the estimate of what it will cost to replace them.
Okay, I'd like to see it. You do have a cat?
Yes, I have one cat.
Okay.
She has multiple.
So we're talking about $47.98.
Times 2.
Okay. Anything else? Any other?
For 2 blinds.
I only see one.
No, those are 2 different windows.
Oh, times 2. You're right. Anything else?
I have to remove the junk that she left at my house.
I was not allowed at her house.
What else?
That's
okay. If you have to think that hard, then we're finished. We're moving over to the countersuit. Okay. Counterclaim is for an illegal lockout. Okay, let me run through this illegal lockout and dispose of it quickly. The illegal lockout that you're referring to happened when your sister, who shouldn't have, took the door off your bedroom.
Correct.
She says she took the door off your bedroom because you weren't paying close enough attention to your children.
Correct.
And I assume she's talking about the 2-year-old.
Correct.
And when she took the door off your bedroom, you called the police.
Right, yep. I called the police. I have the incident report.
Yes, you called the police, and the police came, and when the police came on, do we have the date?
26 April.
The police arrived, and they told her she couldn't lock the door, and you were let in.
Correct.
Okay, so not egregious enough for me to have to deal with 2 sisters fighting. But the other part of your claim is that your sister filed a false CPS report.
Right.
And first, how do you know a CPS report was called in?
Well, they called me.
Child Protective Services.
Right, they did call me. But first, I actually had the phone call from my sister, my witness, who is here right now, because she had pre-warned me because she had gotten the phone call from this sister saying, Lucy is going to call on you.
Okay. Do you want to step up?
Sure.
Tell me your name.
My name's Stephanie Aslett. I'm the older sister of these 2. Yeah.
When did you have a conversation with Miss Noble about the defendant's children?
The same night that the cops were called. Tiffany had called me because Lucy's daughter had crawled through the window and opened the door.
So you spoke to Lucinda?
Yes.
On April 26th?
Yes.
Did you call her or did she call you?
She had called me because she wanted to let me know that the cops had been
Do you recall that conversation?
Yes, I do.
Okay, tell me about the conversation.
She called to let me know that she was letting me know that since I was the only one probably capable or in this position to take on a child if CPS was involved, because the 2-year-old would not be able to go to his father. He was in prison at the time. And I was like, why are you calling and telling me this? Tiffany's a good mom. What's going on? And she goes, no, she's not. I've already called CPS and forewarned them that this is happening. She needs to be taken care of.
What's happening?
Apparently there was lice on her daughter when she was at her father's house, and the 2-year-old, apparently he was running around with a wet diaper.
Who was taken to their father's house?
The daughter that had the lice was...
The daughter is the 5-year-old?
Yes. And
Okay, not the
lice
2-year-old.
Yeah. She supposedly had lice while she was at her dad's.
Went to her father's, and that was sometime in April. Is that correct?
Yes.
And got head lice.
Well, he had told me, I wasn't for sure, but I'd let my sister know just in case that she may have lice. Let's check the girls.
Okay, and your sister was home at the time?
Well, no, she was never home. Everything was over text message.
Just a second, was that when she was away?
She was not staying at the house. She was not at the residence. She was staying at her boyfriend's house that was there.
Lucinda was staying at her
Yes.
boyfriend's house?
Yes.
Okay, and that's on the 26th?
Yes.
Is that after the police were called?
That was prior to, supposedly the lice was prior to, and that's why she had called them prior to that night. And she was letting me know that she had called them and that I needed to be prepared to take on a 2-year-old.
What did you tell her?
I asked her why she would call them, what was going on, and I said, this is ridiculous. You know that this is ridiculous? And she goes, no, it's justified. And I said, I don't understand.
Did she tell you why?
Yeah, she tried to tell me that...
well, tell me exactly what she said to you. Why is this
She made
justified?
the comment that
so she called
Tiffany has
you.
not been there.
Okay, you had to ask
My
her
words
why.
to her were, how do you know this when you're never there?
And she said?
I just know.
And gave you no more specifics?
No.
Okay, you want to tell me about that conversation?
I never said I was calling CPS. I said someone will. I know the person who did. It wasn't me.
Okay, well...
But I knew it was going to be happening.
Okay, Stephanie, let's get clear, okay? When you spoke to Lucinda and she said to you, in effect, are you prepared to take on a 2-year-old? Did she tell you that someone was calling CPS?
No, she did not. She said that she would be the one calling and that she has already contacted them because of the situation at her home.
Okay, now, assuming you and your sister lived alone together, whether you spent time with your boyfriend, I know you have older kids, but you were away. When you were away for that month, were you staying with your boyfriend?
Yes.
Okay, and you left your kids alone, correct?
With my sister.
With your sister? Now, why would you feel comfortable about leaving your own children with your sister if you felt that she neglected her own children?
They didn't need the amount of care that a 2-year-old does.
Are you telling me that a 15-year-old doesn't need a lot of care and watching these days? Or a 12-year-old or an 11-year-old doesn't need a lot of watching and supervising? Is that what you're suggesting to me?
Not as much as a 2-year-old.
Well, one is a physical watching to make sure that it eats and drinks and is bathed periodically. The other two are far more difficult. You got to have eyes all over the place to watch a 15-year-old and an 11-year-old. Got to have your eyes on their computer. You've got to have your eyes on their iPad. You have to have your eyes on their schooling, on their homework, on their everything else. You take a month to go off with your boyfriend. That, to me, is not participating with your children, especially since you suggest that your sister, with whom you left your children, was neglecting her own children.
Your Honor, I would just like to say that I was reaching out to her a lot of the time, too, where I would get 1 week, there was nothing. She said, I'm sorry, I had no Wi-Fi. Her children were skipping school. They were not listening to me. They would not do their homework.
Do I need you to reinforce what I just said?
Right.
I don't need you to reinforce what I just said. You had had a history with methamphetamines. You refused to meet with caseworkers, according to the report you gave me.
I have other reports, too, if I may, please.
Lucinda Noble is accusing her sister, Tiffany Acuna, of refusing to pay for rent. Tiffany claims Lucinda wrongfully reported her to Child Protective Services.
Now, you have something you want to say?
Many things, actually.
Well, many things. I don't want many things. What I want, stand up. What I want to know is you're her daughter.
Yes.
Your first name?
Anna Noble.
Anna, what do you do?
I work front desk at a hotel.
Graduate from high school?
No.
Why?
I was pulled out and moved to Missouri.
Pulled out by whom? By your mother?
Yeah.
And when your mother pulled you out, how old were you?
17.
Had you been going to school before?
Yes. In
what jurisdiction?
It was an alternative school.
When you say an alternative school, what kind of an alternative school?
For troubled youth.
Tell me about your trouble. Was it behavior trouble?
It was many things. I was a very wild teenager.
Until when were you a wild teenager?
Until I sent her to live with her dad.
I didn't ask you any questions. So now you can sit down.
Okay.
I'm not going into anything else. Lucinda, so far you went away for a month with your boyfriend, leaving your 3 children, who you say don't need supervision. How long were you home before you took the door off her bedroom?
I got back from vacation in February, early February, and the door was removed in April for a few hours.
Okay. Do you have any proof other than this conversation that the plaintiff called CPS?
I believe it is proof. Just the thing that was reported is something she would only know. Would that be considered proof?
Well,
okay.
Let me hear what was reported.
It was reported that I would not treat my child with lice. That was what the CPS report was, and it was unsubstantiated, and I have that all proved.
Okay. When your 5-year-old went to her father, she went to visit with her father, and children do get head lice. It happens periodically. Lots of children who go to school, who interact with other children, come home and they get head lice. I've had a lot of children, a lot of grandchildren, and it happens. And you usually treat it. I assume that her father did not treat it. Is that right?
He did treat it. He told me. He told me immediately.
So he treated it. So how do you know that the head lice was the nature of the complaint?
That's what was on the report.
May I see it? Your children weren't removed, except for your boy.
My one son, and then that lady.
And then returned.
All 3 boys.
Oh, yeah.
All 3 kids were taken.
That's it.
Okay. There you go, sir.
Okay. You had a prior history with Child Protective Services.
Which I was unaware.
That's either a yes or a no.
Yep, yes.
And during the course of those prior proceedings, which were relatively current Child Protective proceedings, because that was in 2021, you were clearly drug tested by the Department of Social Services or Child Protective Services.
In 2018 or 19. This was at my doctor's prior when I was, and they reported it that I had failed one of my
And at that time, well, you had an open case and you tested positive for serious drugs.
Right.
Very serious drugs. And this says that while under the influence of those drugs, you drove your children to the doctor's office while under the influence.
Right.
That's the report.
Right.
Okay. These reports all seem to indicate that they tried to see you, but you kept canceling appointments with them and were a no-show.
Well,
okay, that's what this report says. You gave me the report.
Right.
So let me understand this. After coming in and making an assessment, Child Protective Services determined to file a petition on behalf of your youngest child. Yes, they did.
Okay, yeah.
Well, after everything I read there, I think that was probably a good idea. I don't know what happened with that. I assume that the petition was ultimately dismissed if you have your children back with you.
Right away.
Do you have your children back with you?
Yeah, right away, as soon as I went to court that day.
That's okay. They determined, after they spoke to you, and irrespective of either her motivation or anybody acting on her behalf, or somebody that she knew, or her, called Child Protective Services. The question that I'm presented with, was there a basis for concern about your children?
No.
And based upon the reports that I've read here, and those are reports that you gave me, that those serious questions about what was going on with the young children in your house deserved a second look. You had had a history with methamphetamines. You had a serious weight loss. You refused to meet with caseworkers, according to the report you gave me.
I have other reports, too, if I may, please.
Thank you. I'm not finished.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Because if you've been in family court, as I was for 25 years, often incidents are called in of suspected child abuse and neglect. A caseworker goes out, takes a look, and says, you know, I'll continue to watch it, but I don't have to file a case. It hasn't reached the level where I think that I should file a case and remove a child. In this case, Child Protective Services came and tried to do an investigation, which, according to the worker, you evaded. You missed appointments, you rescheduled, you didn't show up.
One time.
And then, not one time, they also had a prior history of you involving drugs, involving driving your children under the influence of drugs. Recent history. Didn't happen 20 years ago. If it happened 2019, this says 21. If it happened 2019 or 2020, that's still recent history. So whoever called, it was worth, according to this caseworker, they had sufficient information based upon what they saw and what they knew to remove the 2-year-old. So that part of your case is dismissed, which is the only part of your counterclaim that I was really entertaining. You owe your sister $2,096, $2,000 for rent and $48 for, I forget what it was, blinds. Thank you. We're done.
My
This court is
property,
adjourned.
We're done.
I had drug tested every month during the time that this happened, and it was like an oopsie under my doctor's supervision.
I've just helped her, and she takes advantage and takes advantage.
You don't call CPS on your sister when you're the one that took off to Africa for 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
And this whole thing wasn't about money. It just, I needed someone to tell her, look, you can't take advantage of people anymore.
She's still the outcast that everyone's upset with.
I'm not the outcast, though, but I'm definitely not helping her anymore.
So we've seen it a lot here, claims for unsubstantiated CPS reports being filed and people seeking damages for that. So I'm just wondering, do you think there was a basis? Is that why, obviously, you didn't rule in her favor on the claim of the false CPS report? So there must have been something in there that...
You know, when people use Child Protective Services as a retaliation for other behavior, that's always abhorrent. But there are some situations where CPS may be called because someone knows that there is an abuse or neglect and has not done it until the other person irritates them. Well, that's not a false CPS report. Maybe motivated by something else, but that's not a false report. And so, in this case, the defendant had a history with CPS, current history with CPS that was relatively serious. Well, then it was a good thing that CPS went.
Because that would be basis itself.
It's
for the
basis
claim.
itself. Yeah, basis itself.
That alone. And just because she was cleared at the end of the day and has her children back now doesn't mean that it was an unsubstantiated claim.
Oh, no. They're watching.
Yeah.
They're watching, and they should be watching. I don't think any of them are bargains. The 18-year-old daughter who was here, who was a troubled child, according to her, and never graduated from high school, although she's working, because her mother moved her around also a lot, was certainly an inadequate caretaker for the other 2 younger children. She goes off for a month with her boyfriend. It's amazing how some children just grow up by themselves. Sometimes it works out okay. I don't know, somehow I felt sorry for all of those kids, that they're not getting all the loving and nurturing that they should.
Hopefully, maybe after today, she turns it around.
Maybe.
Case 2078, Ali versus Miller. All parties, please step forward.
Syed Ali is suing dog owner Abra Miller for car damage from a dog attack.
Mr. Ali, you bought yourself a Tesla.
Yes, ma'am.
A new one?
Yes.
When did you buy it?
I bought it on 6th of June.
Of this year?
Yes.
How much did you pay for it, sir?
68.
And there was a loan on the car?
There's a loan on the car, yes.
So you have full insurance on the car?
Yes.
What's your deductible?
Deductible is $1,000.
$1,000.
Yes.
This is what your case is about. You were going to check on a child's house of yours.
Yes, ma'am. It's my son's house. I go there every day. We bought that house for on my son's and my name. It's for my...
Oh, so it's a house that's jointly owned by you and your son?
Yes, ma'am.
But you don't live there regularly?
I don't live there.
And where does Mr. Miller live?
He lives on a different street, but his backyard and my backyard, they meet each other in the back.
How long have you owned that house?
Since 2014.
Long time.
Long time.
Have you met Mr. Miller?
I met him a few times, yes.
Mr. Miller, you recall meeting Mr. Ali?
Yes, ma'am, once.
Okay, but you've met him?
Yes, ma'am.
Before June 6th?
Yes, ma'am.
And your son lives in the house. Anybody else live in the house? You live in the house. Is this a tenant in the house?
She's a tenant.
Yes. Does your son have dogs?
No.
And does the tenant have a dog?
She does.
What kind of dog?
A Yorkie.
You have a Yorkie?
Yes.
It's a small dog.
Yes.
Yes.
So you have one Yorkie in the house. And you have 2 dogs.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind?
A pit bull breed.
Pit bull?
Yes, ma'am.
And the other?
No, both are the same.
Both are the same.
One's actually the mom and the son.
And how old are they?
The mom's 10, the son's about 8.
And you've had them for years?
Since they were born.
So June 16th, you go to check on the house.
Yes.
Tell me what you saw when you pulled up to the house.
When I went there to the house to check my mail, I saw 2 dogs.
Where did you see the 2 dogs?
I saw them in the porch.
On your porch?
Yes.
Okay. Had you ever seen those dogs before?
No, I never saw them before.
Could you describe them for me?
They're a big size. They are black and white, and they're...
One was black and white or both black and white?
No, the one is black and white, and I have some pictures of them.
Oh, you took photos?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Judge.
You took photos of them on the porch or initially when you saw them?
After I saw them, I was walking out, then I took the picture.
Okay, may I see the photograph? Take out the photographs of your dogs. Would you say, give me both photographs, please? I see. One is black.
One is white.
And one is fawn color and white. Are these pictures of your dogs?
Those are pictures of my dogs.
At his house?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now your dogs are out. You're not at his house, just your
No,
dogs.
Just the dogs.
Okay, so now I got it. So you took pictures of the dogs the day of this incident at your house.
Yes.
And these are your dogs?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, tell me what happened with your car.
Ed Ali claims dog owner Abram Miller owes for car damage after his dogs attacked Syed's Tesla.
Okay, tell me what happened with your car.
Then I realized that I think maybe I need to get away from them because they were very ferocious and growling. And I quietly walked away from them, go to my car, lock myself in, and I said, I need to get out. So I saw them, they were jumping all around my car and biting everything.
They were biting what?
Biting the right side of the tire, this side, and the rim and all that.
What your claim is that the dogs caused a substantial amount of damage to your car.
Right.
May I see the photographs of the damage?
Yes, ma'am.
So the car had scratches on it, I see. And what about the wheel rim? Is that, you're also showing me the scratches on the wheel rim?
Yes, they were biting all the rims and the tire, and they went into the front and bit on the bumper.
May I see that? Okay, have you seen the pictures?
Yes, ma'am.
He sent you pictures of damage.
He sent me some pictures, yes,
of the damage. Okay, so now, Mr. Miller, what Mr. Ali is saying is that your dogs, who he has pictures of, that you acknowledge are your dogs,
Yes, ma'am.
caused damage to his car that he had for a week, that he paid almost $70,000 for. The dogs were clearly outside of your control. They were out of your control because you acknowledge that the photographs of them are without collars, without leashes, nobody around them, and the photographs are taken at his house. I'd like to hear a defense.
Your Honor, there was no way for my dogs to have done the damage. My dogs are older. One of them has no teeth. We have to put water and stuff on her food just so she can eat. The other dog's teeth are filed down. Both of them are up in age. My dogs have never harmed anyone. I have 10 cars of my own in my yard, and I've never had my dogs biting any tires, any damage.
Mr. Miller.
Yes, ma'am.
That's why they call dogs dogs. They're animals.
Yes, ma'am.
Because on one dog, it looks as if the incisors are filed down a little bit. Still has teeth, but the incisors are filed down. Is what you're telling me that that was a natural process, or you had them filed down?
No, ma'am. Absolutely natural.
Absolutely not what?
Absolutely natural.
Absolutely natural. Okay, so the dogs still have teeth. They are smoother rather than sharp, but they still have teeth. Okay, but that's why they're dogs. You weren't there to witness this, so I have to assume that what the plaintiff tells me is true because his evidence is consistent with that. He has photographs of your dogs outside of your control, no collar, no leash, at his house. And he said that he took those pictures on the date of the incident and he has damage to his car. Now, if somebody has that problem, they don't want to blame the wrong person. And the dogs he's identified as causing the damage are your dogs. I'm still waiting for a defense. You mean the fact that they've never done it before you think is a defense?
No, ma'am, not.
What were they doing outside of your control?
They actually got out of my yard from a previous tenant of his dogs that dug a hole up under my gate.
Just a second. So a previous tenant of his had a dog.
I had several dogs.
Several dogs.
Yes, ma'am.
Doesn't live there anymore. Dug a hole under the fence. When did that happen?
That was earlier that year.
Okay, and when did you first discover it?
I didn't realize it until after this incident.
Are you trying to tell me that it happened earlier in the year and your dogs just found the hole? They had never been out before? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I don't believe that, sir. You're responsible for his deductible. Did you have the car fixed?
No, not yet, ma'am.
Why not?
I have an estimate, and I approached him of that, and I said, let's see if we can do something about this.
Mr. Ali.
Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
have
ma'am.
insurance.
Yes.
And you have insurance for this type of problem.
Yes, Judge.
And you have a $1,000 deductible.
Yes, Judge.
Did you advise your insurance company?
I wasn't, because I was trying to see what my good friend neighbor wants to do.
Do you own your home?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have homeowners insurance?
Yes, ma'am.
Does the homeowners insurance exclude your pit bulls?
Do they exclude them? I'm not sure.
Well, in what state do you live?
Florida.
In Florida. Would you look up and see what's the name of your insurance carrier?
I'm not sure, Your Honor. I just switched insurance companies.
Did you have insurance, homeowners insurance, in June?
Yes, ma'am.
You did?
Absolutely.
Well, did you inform your insurance company that there was a problem?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Because I was trying to get an understanding of what was going on.
I'm just telling you what's going on. So now you know what's going on. Your dogs caused damage to his car. Most states now exclude certain dogs from their policy. One that's right on top of the list are pit bulls. You are aware of that.
Yes, ma'am.
And either you pay a higher premium or the insurance company says we're not insuring them. You do understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now you understand. Does your policy exclude your pit bulls?
I don't think so. No, ma'am.
Well, I don't know, and I don't know how to find that out unless you can give me a definitive answer, Sarah. It depends upon the insurance company.
It does.
Yeah, and you don't remember your insurance company. So, Mr. Ali, he's not paying the $8,000 that it's going to take to fix your car. That's what you have insurance for. Okay? But he's going to pay the deductible. You have insurance. It's a brand new car because you have a loan. So you must have insurance, which I'm sure you do.
Yes, I do.
Then if you were having a difficult time with Mr. Miller and his insurance, which I could probably understand because it may exclude his dogs from the policy, you have to advise your insurance company. And I don't understand why you didn't do that.
But I was going to see if he wants to go ahead and fix it.
Well, he's not paying $8,000 to fix it. He's going to pay the $1,000 deductible on your policy.
He was suggesting me that he could just go and get a spray paint and paint that little thing. And I didn't like that idea. And I said, let's go to Tesla and have it done by the properly from...
Absolutely, I agree with you. It's a brand new car. You should have it done by Tesla through your insurance.
That's true.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000, which covers your deductible. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Animal control said my dogs were so loving and peaceful. They showed no aggression to them.
I mean, I like to have people as good neighbors.
Even after they put the pole and the hoop around their necks, my dogs were wagging their tails.
The neighbor's dog has some damage to my car, and I want the neighbor to be up to that responsibility.
The plaintiff bought a new Tesla and has a loan on the Tesla. When you have a loan on a car, you're required by the lender to maintain insurance, both collision and liability. This is not a malicious act. It was a careless act. And I think he should use his insurance to pay for it. I think it was fair. I don't think that there was an issue of fact. Did you?
No, I didn't. I think that that was fair because you have insurance for that purpose so that you don't have to pay $8,000 out of pocket to fix damage from an accident. So he should have used it.
Should have used it.
Won't get one over on us.
No.
Case 2090, Oquendo versus Villarreal. All parties, please step forward.
Amber Oquendo is suing her former tenant, Nancy Villarreal, for unpaid rent.
Miss Oquendo, you own a home.
Yes.
How large is the home?
It's 4-bedroom, 2-bath, and approximately 1,700 square feet.
When did you purchase the home?
2018.
Can I ask you what the cost was?
$225,000.
And you live there in the house, just you, with whom?
I don't live in that house. That's my rental.
You bought it as a rental? Somebody was playing their music loud. It was a problem for you.
Yes.
You asked them to be quiet.
Yes,
you
Your
told her it was a problem.
Yes.
And then there was some sort of a kerfuffle. I don't know what happened. You want to tell me?
Amber Oquendo claims her former tenant, Nancy Villarreal, owes for unpaid rent. Nancy is countersuing for her security deposit.
Now, you bought it as a rental? You bought it as a business?
Originally, I purchased it and I lived in one room. My kids shared a room and I rented 2 rooms until I was able to establish basically a history of being a landlord. And I then purchased another home and I live in my own residence, and that one is fully a rental as of now.
And also a resident of that home are your parents.
Yes, they are in the master.
And you have another tenant there.
Yes, there are a few other tenants.
Tell me who.
So I have one tenant who has asked not to be identified by name, but he is in one room that I have marked as room number 2. And then I have another tenant who's in room number 3. And then Nancy was in room 4, and there's now a new tenant in that room.
Okay, this is what it's about. The defendant was a tenant of yours. It didn't work out. And it was a short tenancy. I think it lasted no more than a month.
Yeah, right.
Is that right? June of this year?
Yes, Your Honor.
It didn't work out. She left. It is your claim that she left owing you a month's rent. And I assume from your paperwork that the month's rent was $774.
So it was $650, and then the $774, the remaining difference was just for being served and then court costs, but month rent was $650.
$650. And when the defendant moved in the beginning of June, did she sign a lease?
Yes, and I'm just going to correct you, sorry. She moved in May 7th, so just wanted to correct that. But yes, she did sign a lease.
May I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You have a copy of your lease, Ms. Villarreal?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. So it's a month-to-month tenancy. It's an at-will with 30 days written notice. Okay. According to the lease, there was a security deposit of $650.
Yes, ma'am.
Did the defendant pay that when she moved in?
Yes, she did.
Okay, because that's your counterclaim. You say you want your security deposit back.
Yes, ma'am.
I assume from reading both of your complaint and answer that this turned out to be not a happy tenancy. You don't live there on a full-time basis. The defendant did live there for a short period of time. You moved in, rented a room, and you gave her $650, and you moved in on May 7th.
Yes, Your Honor.
Correct. And you moved out on what date?
I moved out on July the 10th.
So you were there for 2 months?
No, I was there for 1 month.
May to June, July. May 7th.
I moved in I believe it was June because I moved out July the 7th.
Our lease was signed on May 7th, so I know that.
Yes, the term of the lease is beginning May 7th. That's the term of the lease, according to this. So I don't care when you moved in.
Okay.
The term of the lease was May 7th on a month-to-month basis. So you were there from May 7th to July 10th. So you were there for 2 months.
Okay.
We're going to get into the whys, wherefores in a moment, but did you pay the month of May?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you pay the month of
Yes,
May?
ma'am.
Good. Did you pay the month of June?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. And you lived there until July 7th?
No, I actually lived there until...
You just told me July 10th, as a matter of fact. Whitney's going to tell me what date you gave as your move-out date. You said it was July 10th.
She said, I moved out on July the 10th.
Okay, July, and it was, yes. July
So you
10th.
were there for 2 months?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, if you're there for 2 months and you only paid 1 month's rent.
Yes.
So far, you owe her 1 month's rent. Did you return her security deposit?
Yes.
Did you receive your security deposit?
Yes, Your Honor.
How much?
$650.
Okay, so you have no counterclaim. The counterclaim is for your security deposit. The rest of it is nonsense. You moved out, you wanted to pay your moving costs, your hotel fees, and everything else. That's ridiculous. Okay. So if you've received your security deposit now, what you owe her is a month's rent, which is $650. And I know you're dying to tell me that there was noise there, that you couldn't live there, that it was terrible. Well, that's what happens when you live in a place with a whole bunch of other people. Did you look at this room before you moved in?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Okay, so you went to the house. When you went to see the house, Amber was there. She introduced herself as the landlord. That's what it says here.
Yes.
And she let you know that she wasn't in the house, that her parents were in the house as tenants, but she wasn't in the house.
Yes.
And you moved in and somebody was making noise. Somebody was playing their music loud. It was a problem for you.
Yes.
You asked them to be quiet.
Yes,
you
Your
told her it was a problem.
Yes.
And then there was some sort of a kerfuffle. I don't know what happened. You want to tell me?
Yes, Your Honor. I am a federal employee, Your Honor. And when I signed this lease back in May, it states there, and I'm also in recovery, Your Honor, and it states very clearly in the lease that there is absolutely no smoking on the premises or no drugs on the premises, Your Honor. There was absolutely marijuana being smoked in the house. And right after I brought that to her attention, I then received a 30-day termination notice.
Okay.
Because I absolutely could not live in that house anymore with my job. I felt it was not a safe place for me.
Where did you go? Just a second. Is that your son?
This is my son.
Okay. Does he live in the area? I know you called him and he came and helped you move.
Yes,
correct?
ma'am.
Who does he live with?
My son? He rents a room with roommates.
So he has roommates?
Yes.
Tell me where you went when you left. You didn't get a 3-day notice to quit. You got a 30-day notice from her that she was not renewing the lease pursuant to this.
Right.
You chose to leave in 3 days. That was your choice.
Because
you had 30 days to stay, and you had a month-to-month tenancy. Okay, you chose to leave. So where did you go?
I got a U-Haul. I didn't really have a place at the time to go, but my boy's grandmother offered her place to me. So I stayed there for a couple weeks. She said, you pay $180. I'll let you stay here for a couple weeks until I was able to find another place, Your Honor.
And then you did?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Great. Okay. So the security deposit you have, and she doesn't have her month's rent, which is $650. Are we done here? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $650. We're finished. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I am not aware of anyone using marijuana in my house.
There was marijuana being smoked in the house.
My dad says that he's not smelling it, so I guess I can't really attest to the legitimacy of that.
It was not a safe place for me to be.
You know, some people don't realize, Sarah, that if you leave a premises that you have lived in, it's like going to a restaurant and ordering a steak and then delivering the steak, you're taking a bite and say, you know, I really don't like that steak, and finishing it, and then telling the waiter you're not going to pay for the steak. I always say you ate the steak. If you're a tenant and you find the living conditions such that, you know, you find it untenable to live there, you have a prerogative of changing your residence, but you don't live there for 2 months and only pay for 1, and then make excuses because you ate the steak.
Xin chào mọi người, chào mừng mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì chúng mình sẽ cùng nhau tô màu cho bức tranh về một cô gái nha. Và đây sẽ là bức tranh của ngày hôm nay. Chúng ta hãy cùng nhau bắt tay vào và tô màu cho bức tranh nhé. Trước tiên thì mình sẽ tô mái tóc nha mọi người ơi. Mái tóc thì mình nghĩ là mình sẽ lựa chọn màu nâu. Hình như ở đây thì có một cái kiểu như là một chiếc nơ ấy. Thì mình sẽ tô màu xanh dương nha. Nhìn nó không giống tóc đâu. Là mình sẽ tô nha. Bây giờ thì mình sẽ tô đôi bông tai nha. Mình sẽ tô màu hồng đi. Tiếp theo thì mình sẽ tô chiếc dây chuyền. Bây giờ thì cùng mình tô đến bộ váy nha. Ai coi à? Bộ váy thì chắc là mình sẽ tô màu xanh lá như mọi người. Và mình sẽ tô luôn cho chiếc váy nha. Bức tranh của mình đã được tô màu xong rồi. Cảm ơn mọi người đã cùng mình theo dõi video này. Hãy like, share, chia sẻ và ủng hộ mình ở những video tiếp theo của mình nhé. Tạm biệt mọi người. Xin chào mọi người, chào mừng mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau tô màu cho bức tranh cô gái này nha. Và đây sẽ là bức tranh mà mình sẽ tô. Các bạn hãy cùng mình theo dõi xem là mình sẽ tô màu cho bức tranh này như thế nào nhé. Đầu tiên thì mình sẽ tô chiếc hoa tai. Tiếp theo là tô màu cho đôi môi ha. Giờ thì chúng tôi điểm mái tóc nhé. Giờ thì phần tóc đã xong, một bên đã xong, bây giờ mình sẽ tô nước bên còn lại. Tiếp theo là cùng mình tô màu cho chiếc vòng cổ. Chiếc áo phía bên trong thì mình sẽ tô màu vàng. Chiếc áo bên ngoài thì mình sẽ lựa chọn là màu xanh lá cây nha. Mình sẽ tô nốt bên áo còn lại. Bức tranh của mình đã được tô màu xong rồi nhé. Cảm ơn mọi người đã cùng mình theo dõi. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại ở những video tiếp theo. Xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã quay trở lại với series tô màu tranh cùng với mình nhé. Hôm nay thì chúng mình sẽ cùng nhau tô màu cho bức tranh này nha. Và đây sẽ là bức tranh mà hôm nay mình sẽ tô. Các bạn hãy cùng mình theo dõi và cùng tô màu với mình nhé. Trước tiên thì chúng mình sẽ cùng nhau tô cái phần tai mèo này nha. Mình nên tô màu gì nhỉ? Mình sẽ tô màu hồng nhà đậm nha. Tiếp theo mình sẽ tô màu chiếc mũi. Bây giờ thì cùng mình tô màu cho chiếc nơ. Và tô màu cho chiếc bao tay mèo này nhé. Bây giờ mình sẽ tô phần tai thỏ này. Mình sẽ tô màu hồng nhạt nhé. Còn bộ đồ thì mình sẽ sử dụng màu xanh ngọc để tô. Rồi thì mình sẽ tô màu cho phần gương mặt. Và tô cả phần chân. Như vậy là bức tranh của mình đã đến điểm bước hoàn thành rồi nha. Cảm ơn mọi người đã cùng mình theo dõi video này. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại ở những video tiếp theo. Tạm biệt. Xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã quay trở lại với series tô màu tranh cùng với mình nhé. Hôm nay thì mình sẽ tô màu cho bức tranh này nha. Đây là bức tranh của mình ngày hôm nay. Các bạn hãy cùng mình bắt tay vào và tô màu ngay bây giờ cho bức tranh cùng với mình nha. Chúng mình cùng bắt tay vào thôi nào. Trước tiên này hãy cùng mình tô màu cho trái dâu nhé. Mình tô phần cuống trước. Tiếp theo là tô chiếc mũi. Quả dâu thì sẽ có màu đỏ. Sẽ tô rồi. Tiếp theo là sử dụng màu hồng nhạt để tô cho phần tay. Chân. Và cả mặt nhé. Mình sẽ tô màu cho chiếc nơ này nha mọi người. Chiếc nón thì mình sẽ tô màu xanh da trời nha. Mình sẽ tô từ trên cái tai xuống trước. Và tô đến cái phần đội đầu. Cuối cùng là bộ đồ ha. Mình sẽ tô màu tím để tông sợi tông về cái nơ. Và như vậy là bức tranh của mình đã được tô màu xong rồi. Cảm ơn mọi người đã cùng mình đồng hành qua những video tô màu. Hãy like, share và ủng hộ cho mình nha. Tạm biệt các bạn. Xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với series tô màu tranh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình sẽ tô màu cho một nhân vật. Đây. Đây là nhân vật ở trong phim Những cô gái siêu nhân nha. Các bạn hãy cùng mình theo dõi đến cuối video để xem là mình sẽ tô màu vào. Cô bé này thì sẽ có màu chủ đạo là màu xanh dương nha mọi người. Đầu tiên sẽ là đôi mắt. Bây giờ thì mình sẽ tô màu da nha mọi người. Mình sẽ sử dụng là màu da. Tô cho phần mặt trước nhé. Tiếp theo là tô cho vân tay. Và mình sẽ tô cho phần miệng nữa. Ok. Mình sẽ tô phần da bụng tóc. Và tô luôn cho cả bộ đầu. Giờ thì chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau tô đến phần mái tóc nha. Mái tóc cô bé này thì sẽ có màu vàng. Sẽ có hai cái bím tóc này. Mình tô xong hai phần bím tóc rồi, giờ mình sẽ tô phần tóc ở giữa. Và bức tranh của mình đã được tô màu xong rồi nhé. Cảm ơn các bạn đã cùng mình theo dõi video này. Nếu yêu thích series tô màu tranh của mình thì hãy like, share và ủng hộ cho mình nha. Video của mình đến đây là kết thúc rồi. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại ở những video tiếp theo của mình. Tạm biệt. Xin chào mọi người, chào mừng mọi người đã đến với kênh của mình và đến với series tô màu tranh nha. Hôm nay thì mình sẽ tô màu cho bức tranh này nhé. Đây sẽ là bức tranh của ngày hôm nay. Các bạn hãy cùng mình theo dõi để xem là mình sẽ tô màu và hoàn thiện bức tranh này như thế nào nha. Đầu tiên thì chúng mình sẽ cùng nhau tô phần gương mặt nha. Tô cả chiếc mũi nữa. Giờ thì cùng mình tô đến chiếc mũ nha. Mình sẽ sử dụng màu hồng đậm. Mình sẽ tô hết nha. Bây giờ thì mình sẽ sử dụng màu vàng để tô cho chiếc đuôi và phần cổ áo. Bộ đồ thì mình sẽ sử dụng là màu xanh lá cây nha. Đồ mình sẽ tô cho hai tay trước. Cuối cùng là tô cho phần thân. Và bức tranh của mình đã được tô màu xong rồi. Cảm ơn các bạn đã cùng mình theo dõi video này. Nếu yêu thích series tô màu tranh của mình thì hãy like, share và ủng hộ cho mình nha. Tạm biệt các bạn. Xin chào mọi người, chào mừng mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình sẽ tô màu cho bức tranh về một em Bonnie nha. Và đây sẽ là bức tranh của mình ngày hôm nay. Các bạn hãy cùng mình theo dõi đến cuối video để xem là mình sẽ tô màu như thế nào nhé. Đầu tiên thì các bạn cùng với mình sẽ tô màu cho chiếc nơ nha. Chiếc nơ này thì mình sẽ tô màu cam nhé. Bây giờ thì mình sẽ tô ký hiệu ở cái phần hông này nhá. Mình sẽ tô cho quả táo trước. Ký hiệu kiểu như thế này thì mình sẽ tô màu xanh dương nha. Đây là mình sẽ tô cái phần tóc xoăn xoăn này. Mình sẽ sử dụng là màu hồng đậm nha. Bây giờ mình sẽ tô nốt cho phần đuôi nha. Cuối cùng là mình sẽ tô phần người nha, phần thân ấy. Mình sẽ sử dụng là màu xanh ngọc nhé. Sẽ tô hết nha. Và mình sẽ tô đến phần thân và những cái chân này. Bức tranh của mình đã được tô màu xong rồi nhé. Cảm ơn các bạn đã cùng mình theo dõi video này. Video của mình đến đây là kết thúc rồi. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại.
Okay. No? सेव कर दे हाँ बस अब बस दी तरफ ना मुताका वाला दो Kira. Thấy đây.
Next question. Yes, sir. Next question. Open. This is president.
Oh.
È quasi una roba cattiva cattiva. Non lo so che sta bene.
Sta facile. Sa'yo na siya. Para usted que está más adelante, ¿qué pasa acá? وبرو پس ما لورو گجو وای خدا صحیح وګوره راونه ورځي لګي خیر انسان چې کله وی خدا پر چیک بس ها چی یا ځکه څنګه کم شي بامبو دا بل څنګه جوړه ओ बैठी हाँ आजा वो दीजिए तसी पण तर्फे घेऊन ना त्याला ते माझं तू शेतरी पळता दो प्रोडक्शन सही समझा दो डेटा वर्क था वो भी सही है राजा दो फोटो 8 मिनट No inch. दो फोटो 9 इंच पे कट अब ऐसे पिक्चर देता हूँ
Vale, non è che considera che?
Eh?
Da poco si deve.
سو كم؟ سابو قروز ده صحيح بل سنشي كمان سبوا كخبر أنا صحيح أنا بدل شو بعدين قدام بس لا بس